If you like the story, you can support the author on Patreon. Link is in the description. Additionally, if you would like to request novels and access my Google Drive where I have 200 plus audiobooks, then you can join my Patreon. Link is also provided in the description.
Chapter 41, Upper Moon 1, Kokushibo. As the four of them moved forward, the soft glow of moonlight filtered through the trees, indicating it was early morning, with nearly 2 hours until sunrise. Suddenly, Ryu sensed something and halted the group. "Stop," he uttered. Kane's expression changed as her senses went on high alert. "Did you find anything?" "Yes," Ryu confirmed. "Just as Kaguya predicted, there's a manor about a kilometer from here. But Mugen isn't there, only a house filled with corpses. And there's a powerful demon waiting for us." "Is it an upper moon?" Kane asked. "Far stronger than an upper moon demon," Ryu replied calmly. Kane took a deep breath, weighing the situation. She knew they couldn't afford to lose track of Mugen, not after the Demon Slayer Corps had finally uncovered his trace after so many years. "How confident are you in dealing with that demon?" she asked. "I won't lose," Ryu stated. After a moment's thought, Kane said. "Let's do it. We can't miss this opportunity to find Mugen's traces." It didn't take long for them to reach the manor, but as they approached, the atmosphere around them changed. The air grew colder, and the traces of demon presence became more apparent. Suddenly, a chilling breeze swept through them, carrying an overwhelming sense of malice that sent a shiver down their spines. Kane's hand instinctively moved to the hilt of her Nichiren sword, her expression turning serious. Tatsuya and Haruka mirrored her actions as they prepared for the upcoming confrontation. In contrast, Ryu remained calm, his demeanor nonchalant, as if he didn't sense the demons. From the shadows, figures began to emerge, several twisted demons, their grotesque forms barely resembling ordinary demons. They weren't just any ordinary demons, their presence was on a different level, only slightly weaker than lower moons. Ryu, Kane, Tatsuya, and Haruka immediately sensed the difference. "Be careful, Haruka. These demons give me chilling vibes," Tatsuya muttered audibly, his stormy grey eyes narrowing as he gripped his sword, ready to draw it at a moment's notice. "Yes," Haruka responded, drawing her sword and holding it firmly with both hands, her stance steady. Suddenly, Ryu's eyes sharpened as he took a step forward. "You three, get behind me," he ordered, his serious voice startled them. Without hesitation, Kane, Tatsuya, and Haruka moved behind him. Just as Kane was about to ask why, they felt a surge of ominous energy so intense that it made their blood run cold. The air grew so heavy it felt suffocating, making it difficult to breathe, as Kokushibo, upper rank 1, emerged from inside the manor. His presence was menacing and overwhelming. The tall, imposing figure, with 6 glowing eyes, seemed to pierce through the four of them. His long dark hair, tipped with red, flowed like a shadow, and the ominous katana at his side gave him the fearsome aura of a warrior. Aside from Ryu, the presence of Kokushibo made the 3 others tremble on their feet, nearly losing their will to fight. The sheer terror made them consider throwing their swords down and running away. At that moment, Ryu chuckled. "You've surely got the presence of an upper moon 1. If it were any weaker, I'd be quite disappointed." His words snapped the other 3 out of their fear, helping them regain their composure as they faced the upper moon 1. Kane's eyes widened as she realized who stood before them. "Upper moon 1. It's just as Mugen-sama predicted," Kokushibo muttered, his 6 cold eyes fixed on them. "The current Yubayashiki is truly a man of action, sending 2 of his best Hashira. And it's been a while since I've encountered a human who could stand before me without a trace of fear. But you're too late. Mugen-sama is not here." The demons began to circle the 4 of them, their eyes filled with desire to devour. Their appearance and hunger made it clear they were newly created. "We are being surrounded," Haruka said. Ryu spoke as his eyes fixed on Kokushibo. "I'll handle the upper moon 1. Tatsuya, Haruka, you 2 are responsible for clearing the other demons. Kane, don't help them. They need the experience. Just watch from the side." "Be careful, Ryu," Kane nodded, her voice calm despite the situation. She knew Ryu's strength better than anyone. After his words, the battle erupted. Tatsuya drew his sword and unleashed his storm breathing, slicing through the air with rapid, powerful sword slashes that cut down the demons with ease. At the same time, Haruka also sprang into action. The simplified nature breathing allowed her to behead the demons with precise moves. Meanwhile, Kane observed their battle with focus, ready to act if they were in danger. Although Ryu had told her not to assist them, she wouldn't sit by if something unexpected endangered Tatsuya or Haruka. Blind arrogance, Kokushibo muttered unhurriedly, his voice dripping with disdain. You think you can stand against me? A mere Hashira is no match for an upper moon. I'm not a mere Hashira, Ryu responded with a teasing smile. He then gestured with his right hand, inviting Kokushibo to attack, while his left hand remained casually behind his back. Why don't you try? His provocative actions even managed to irritate the usually calm Kokushibo. How could a mere human dare challenge him? Was he even worthy? Ryu and Kokushibo's gazes locked, the tension between them palpable. The air around them crackled with energy, and the atmosphere grew heavy under the immense pressure. Without a word, Kokushibo unsheathed his blade, a blood-red katana with a veiny appearance, its blade covered in countless eyes. The weapon exuded an ominous presence, distorting the air around it with the sheer power it radiated. Clang! The battle began with a resounding clash of blades. In a flash, Kokushibo appeared before Ryu, his sword slicing through the air with incredible speed. Ryu drew his Nichiren sword with lightning-fast speed and parried the strike. The force of the blow sent a shockwave through the air, rippling outward with them as the center. After a brief but intense clash, both Ryu and Kokushibo leaped back, momentarily ending their blow. You're not bad, Kokushibo remarked. Tell me your name. Nature Hashira, Ryu, he replied. Chapter 42, Ryu vs Kokushibo. Gazing intently at Ryu, Kokushibo activated his transparent world, allowing him to see the inner workings of Ryu's body with transparency. Before his eyes, everything was revealed: the flow of blood, the rhythm of his breathing, the intricate structure of his inner organs, and the contractions of his muscles. Outstanding! Kokushibo mused, glimpsing the exceptional physical refinement of Ryu's body. His physique has been honed beyond the absolute limit of human beings, even surpassing my brother's. What a human! He's strong. First form, Dark Moon, Evening Palace. Without hesitation, Kokushibo unleashed his next attack, a sweeping horizontal slash that carved a perfect crescent through the air. The crescent generated a torrent of chaotic crescent blades, all flying toward Ryu. Facing the oncoming attack, Ryu remained unfazed. He countered with his first form, Wind Slash, a seemingly simple swing of his blade that unleashed a fierce gust of wind blades. These wind blades tore through Kokushibo's crescent attack, slicing through them with ease and continuing toward Kokushibo without losing any power. The collision of attacks cut through everything in its path, killing a few demons caught in the crossfire. They were sliced to pieces and their bodies disintegrated into ashes. Ryu's slash forced Kokushibo to sidestep, narrowly avoiding the wind blade. The single slash made him reassess his opponent. Nature breathing. I've never encountered this style before. His swordsmanship is formidable. Looks like I won't be bored. Kokushibo thought. At the same time, he began to take Ryu seriously, entering a breathing state as a white mist flowed from his mouth. Ryu observed Kokushibo's state by activating his own transparent world, a reward he had gotten after defeating the lower moon 5, Ryou. He's getting serious. Ryu thought. He could feel the sudden surge in Kokushibo's power. His entire aura underwent a change, elevated to a higher level. Fifth form, Moon Spirit Calamitous Eddy. In an instant, Kokushibo closed the gap between them with blinding speed, unleashing a hail of slashes that seemed to blur together. A vortex of crescent moon blades spiraled around him, each slash layered and interwoven, creating a maelstrom of deadly attacks. Astonishingly, this barrage was executed without Kokushibo ever swinging his katana. Ryu's senses narrowed, as the storm of crescent blades bore down on him, each one threatening to cut him down. Ryu skillfully executed his second form, Current of the Ocean, swinging his sword in a wide circular motion. A powerful surge of water force erupted around him, swirling like a whirlpool, its sheer pressure crushed Kokushibo's relentless barrage of crescent moon blades. The force of Ryu's attack was so immense that it tore apart the very ground beneath them, carving out a massive pit, and scattering debris in all directions. A thick cloud of dust rose into the air, obscuring everyone's vision. Slash! A simple swing of Ryu's sword generated a powerful gust of wind that dispersed the dust cloud, revealing the battleground once more. Kokushibo's 6 eyes locked onto Ryu, startled by the overwhelming strength shown by the opponent. Thoughts raced through his mind. He can see the world the same way I do. There was no mistaking it, the opponent had mastered the transparent world just like him since he could accurately predict his attacks and counterattack. It had been 500 years since he had seen a human with such skill, the last being his own little brother. The thought came at him. Is he a monster like my brother? I can't allow him to live. He's a threat to that man. A strong killing intent flashed in Kokushibo's eyes as he decided to kill Ryu without delay. Considering Ryu's strength, he even thought of giving him a chance to become a demon, but not anymore. The human before him had to die. As he decided, the sword in his hand changed form. The straight blade extended, and additional blades began to protrude from it, transforming into a complex katana. Seeing the change in Kokushibo's weapon, Ryu cursed inwardly. He was trying his best to conceal his true strength, as he knew revealing them could cause Mugen to be wary, or worse, he may go into hiding. Hence, Ryu avoided using nature mode or fully unleashing his breathing style, which harnesses the power of nature itself. Like sun breathing, his blade inflicts wounds that prevent demons from healing. Let's hope he doesn't push me too far, Ryu thought to himself. He then commented with a hint of sarcasm, that's one disgusting blade you've got there. Don't you think? Ignoring Ryu's comment, Kokushibo launched his attack with an uncompromising gaze. Seventh form, Mirror of Misfortune, Moonlit. Using his transformed katana, Kokushibo executed a powerful frontal crescent-shaped slash. This attack unleashed a barrage of both straight and curved slashes that expanded outward, each one changing shapes and direction, difficult to avoid. In response, Ryu swung his sword with overwhelming force, destroying the attacks. The battle raged on. The clash of their blades sent showers of sparks flying, creating shockwaves that quaked the battlefield and sent clouds of dust into the air. Ryu pretended to exert all his strength, drawing upon every ounce of his strength as if he was pushing himself to the limit. After some time, he even gasped for air, showing exhaustion. It wasn't easy to fool Kokushibo, who has a transparent world like him. But, Kokushibo fought with an unstoppable force, leaving no room for error. Their battle cracked and splintered the land, leaving behind a devastated landscape marked by deep craters and torn earth. The once beautiful terrain with gardens and trees now lay in ruins, a testament to the intensity of their confrontation. Meanwhile, Tatsuya and Haruka fought fearlessly against the remaining demons. The night was filled with the sounds of demon roars and blades slicing through the flesh. Together, they killed nearly 10 demons. Of course, Kane assisted them whenever they were overwhelmed. Once the last of the demons fell, the three of them turned their attention to the fierce battle between Ryu and Upper Moon 1. They stood in stunned silence, awestruck by the sheer magnitude of strength and skill displayed by both. Haruka's voice trembled with fear as she spoke. Such strength was beyond what humans can achieve. If even an Upper Moon is this formidable, what about Mugen himself? Can we truly fight and defeat such a demon? Kane replied in a resolute tone, even if we can't defeat him, we have to do our best for the people. We must fight, no matter the odds. And, isn't Ryu a good example? Humans can fight the demon as strong as Upper Moon without losing. Chapter 43, A Sweet Conversation. The battle dragged on for hours, and though Ryu appeared on the brink of collapse, Kokushibo couldn't land a single blow. Forget about grazing Ryu's skin, not even his clothes were damaged, despite fighting for so long. Kokushibo grew increasingly suspicious of Ryu's true strength. But he couldn't care about that anymore as a greater threat loomed, the rising sun. Kokushibo wondered. Is he trying to stall for time until sunrise? I can't waste any more time here. An unknown fear surged in his mind. What if Ryu unleashed a surge of strength and held him at the last minute before sunlight? What if the other 3 demon slayers sacrificed themselves to buy time? He couldn't take that risk. How nostalgic! After so many years, I once again feel the pressure of death, Kokushibo mused, and with a hint of acknowledgement he looked at Ryu. You are strong, Hashira of nature breathing. This is not the end. We will meet again. Without a second thought, Kokushibo retreated. Seeing this, Ryu didn't stop him. Tatsuya and Haruka let out a sigh of relief, seeing the Upper Moon 1 disappear into the shadows. Haruka collapsed to the ground, her legs giving away, while Tatsuya wiped the sweat from his brow. The oppressive pressure of the Kokushibo's presence was terrifying. What would happen if they had to face such a demon in battle? Seeing their state, Ryu shook his head. You guys need to practice more, you could barely withstand his intimidating aura. His tone softened a little, but don't be discouraged. You both did well for newbies. The Upper Moon One has been alive for centuries while you have only been training for less than 2 years. At that moment, why didn't you kill him? Kane asked sharply, striding toward Ryu. Unlike Tatsuya and Haruka, she knew Ryu hadn't used his full strength. Seeing the anger on her face, Ryu swiftly caught her hand and yanked her towards him, wrapping his arms around her from behind. He tightened his hold, feeling the softness of her waist beneath his grip. His breath deepened as he inhaled her natural fragrance, a scent that stirred something deep within him. Kane put up a half-hearted struggle, "Let me go." Tatsuya sighed heavily, watching the two of them. "Ah, they're at it again. Why did we even come on this mission? We should have chosen a different one. Let's give them some space," Haruka suggested, rolling her eyes playfully. She then grabbed Tatsuya's arm and dragged him away, leaving Ryu and Kane alone. Ryu distracted her by speaking in a soft voice, "Don't be angry, Kane. Demons like him can be created by Mugen at will with just a few drops of his blood. Remember, our real goal is Mugen. Only by killing him can we rid this world of demons once and for all. That doesn't mean you should have let him go. He's an Upper Moon One. We won't get such an opportunity again." Kane fake struggled to get out of his embrace, but his hold on her was too strong to break free. "Don't you trust me?" Ryu asked as he looked deeply into her eyes. Kane glanced up, her breath hot. Ryu's face was so close, their noses brushed against each other, their breaths mingling in the tiny space between them. A faint blush painted Kane's cheeks, and with a sudden push of her elbow, she broke free from his embrace. "You know I trust you blindly," she replied in a voice only Ryu can hear. With a soft smile forming on his lips, Ryu asked, "Do you know how the breathing methods came into existence?" He continued, answering his own question, "Around 500 years ago, there was a man named Yoriichi Tsujikuni. He was the strongest demon slayer in history, born with the demon slayer mark and possessing the rare abilities of the transparent world and the selfless state. His physique was honed to perfection, and his swordsmanship was unparalleled. Yoriichi's arrival ushered in the golden age of the demon slayers. He is the progenitor of the breathing styles, creating the sun breathing, also known as the original breathing style, from which all subsequent styles were derived, tailoring to the strengths of each individual. He alone cornered Mugen Kibutsuji, overpowering him in an instant and bringing him to the brink of death before Mugen barely managed to escape. After that encounter, Mugen vanished without a trace and didn't show his face again until Yoriichi's death. Yoriichi did nothing wrong, but because he couldn't finish him off, people have continued to suffer and die for the past 500 years. Kane's eyes widened in surprise as she heard Ryu's words. There was such a man in the Demon Slayer Corps? Why did none of us know his history? Because his twin brother betrayed the Demon Slayer Corps and willingly turned into a demon. To prove his loyalty to Mugen, he even assassinated the then acting leader of the Corps. Yoriichi took responsibility for his brother's betrayal and was consequently banished from the Demon Slayer Corps. That brother is Upper Moon One, Kokushibo. When he was human, he went by the name Michikatsu Tsujikuni. It was only after his betrayal that Kakushi were formed and greater efforts were made to conceal the leader's residence. Are you telling the truth? Kane asked in disbelief, as she tried to process the staggering information Ryu had just shared. Ryu shrugged. Does Oyakata-sama know about all this? Kane asked. He should, Ryu replied. After a pause, Kane asked, you mentioned something about the Demon Slayer mark, the transparent world, and the selfless state. Are these some kind of abilities? Yes, Ryu replied and explained each one in detail. After learning the marks could greatly enhance one's strength, Kane asked eagerly, can I manifest the mark? I don't know, it's random. Ryu answered, but, personally, I wouldn't want you to awaken it. Most people aren't strong enough to withstand the power of the mark. In exchange for greater power, it reduces your lifespan. That's why those who manifest it don't live past the age of 25. I don't mind it. If it gives me the power to kill Mugen and protect my sister, I hope I awaken it. Kane said firmly. Ryu once again pulled Kane into a tight embrace, his voice filled with emotion. I mind. I can't bear the thought of losing you. He pulled back slightly to look into her eyes, his gaze serious. But I promise you this, I will kill Mugen and put an end to the demons roaming this world. Looking at his intense gaze, Kane's heart pounded in her chest for the first time. Overwhelmed by a tender emotion she couldn't quite name, she took the initiative and hugged him back tightly. Just like you think, I don't want anything to happen to you either. Silly girl. A sense of sweetness filled his heart as he enjoyed the warmth of her embrace. Chapter 44, Back to Butterfly Mansion. The sun rose on the horizon as a team of Kakushi arrived at the scene. The manor was filled with lifeless bodies, men, women, and even a child, a cruel testament to Mugen's indifference toward human life. Meanwhile, Kane sent a mission report detailing the events that happened to Yabayashiki through her Kasugai crow. Once everything was sorted and the scene secured, the group left the place and began their journey to the Butterfly Mansion. On their way back, Kane, who had been silent for a while, finally spoke up. "How do you know all this?" she asked. It puzzled her how Ryu seemed to know things that even Oyakata-sama might not know. "Let's just say I know things beyond your comprehension," Ryu replied mystifyingly. "Humph." Pretending to be mysterious. She snorted playfully. "Kane, I didn't tell you all this just to expand your knowledge. I wanted you to understand that Mugen has no pride, his only instinct is survival. If he senses that his life is in danger, he won't hesitate to flee without a second thought. Do you understand what I'm trying to say?" Kane nodded with a deep expression. "I understand. We might only have one chance to strike. If we miss it, countless more will suffer in the years to come." "Exactly. So, let's wait for the right opportunity. Our time is coming. If we remain patient, we will have our chance," Ryu said. "The time is coming? Why do you say that?" Kane asked in confusion. "Mugen's ultimate goal is to conquer the sun," Ryu explained. "The reason he creates demons is to see if any of them can achieve that and develop the ability to withstand sunlight." Kane was startled by his words. "Are you saying there's a demon who can conquer the sunlight?" "There's a possibility," Ryu nodded. "And if Mugen absorbs that demon, he'll conquer the sun and can walk in the sunlight." "We can't allow that to happen," Kane said with her brow furrowed. "If he achieves his goal, there's no way we can defeat him." "Yes. But, it's also an opportunity," Ryu said. Noticing her worried look, he reassured Kane with a smile, "With me here, nothing will go wrong." Yabayashiki Mansion. Kaguya Yabayashiki sat quietly in his dimly lit study, listening as his wife, Amine, read aloud the contents of a letter delivered by his Kasugai crow. As she finished, a heavy silence settled in the room. After a moment, Kaguya spoke in a calm voice. "I see, they encountered that man, Upper Moon 1, Kokushibo. Thankfully, I sent Ryu with Kane. If it were others, we might have lost 2 Hashira today." There was a hint of relief in his tone. "It's impressive that Ryu was able to fight Kokushibo without losing. To fight against him without losing. Ryu is truly the strongest demon slayer in the Corps right now." Amine, standing by his side, nodded in agreement. "Indeed, but it's frustrating that we've once again lost his trail. Mugen Kibutsuji remains as elusive as ever." Kaguya's lips curved into a faint, reassuring smile. "It's all right. We have gathered some of the strongest demon slayers in recent years. As long as we continue to fight, another chance will come." Though he couldn't see, he turned his face toward the window, feeling the warmth of the sun's rays on his skin. Determination gleamed in his eyes. He said in a soft but firm tone, "We just need one opportunity to lure Mugen out. And when he finally shows himself, we must strike with everything we have and end this cycle of suffering once and for all." Butterfly Mansion. After 2 days of travel, Ryu and Kane finally arrived at the Butterfly Mansion. Meanwhile, Tatsuya and Haruka had already gone on another mission. "What? Sister, did you encounter Upper Moon 1? That's so dangerous!" Shinobu exclaimed, her eyes wide with shock. "You girl, did you forget that I went with your sister?" Ryu interjected. "With me around, there's no such thing as danger. Even Upper Moon 1 fled when he realized he couldn't defeat me," he added, feigning a proud expression. Shinobu played along, by praising him to the sky. "You're amazing, Ryu-san. My sister is so lucky to have you. Did you make any progress, like a hero rescuing a damsel in distress?" "Naturally," Ryu replied with a grin. "Your sister is already in my grasp." "Really?" Shinobu exclaimed. "You too?" Kane interjected in a sharp tone and swiftly put an end to their playful banter by pinching both Shinobu's and Ryu's ears and twisting fiercely. She then calmly shifted the conversation by asking, "How are the 3 of them doing, Shinobu?" It had been 15 days since the battle at Mount Nadagumo. After their grueling fight with the spider family, Tanjiro, Zenitsu, and Inosuke were sent to the butterfly mansion for treatment. Shinobu had taken on the responsibility of overseeing their recovery. I've been putting them through rehabilitation training, Shinobu explained. Due to the severe injuries they sustained during the mission, they need this training to fully heal their bodies and be ready for the upcoming missions. Let's go and see them. I'm particularly interested in that boy named Tanjiro and his sister Nezuko, Kane said with a hint of interest. Me too, Ryu added. He was interested in the sun breathing. If he could copy it with his Sharingan, perhaps it could be used to enhance Kane's strength or other breathing techniques. In the backyard of the butterfly mansion, Tanjiro was diligently practicing his total concentration breathing. He was focused intently on trying to blow a small, hollow gourd. As they came, Tanjiro noticed their arrival and immediately paused what he was doing. He greeted them with a warm smile. Shinobu-san, Kane-san, Ryu-san, good to see you all. How's your rehabilitation training coming along? Kane asked with a smile, her eyes kind. Tanjiro nodded enthusiastically. It's going well. I'm working hard to master total concentration breathing. It's difficult, but I'm getting better every day. Good. How's your sister? Kane asked. She's still asleep, Tanjiro replied with a smile. And Kane-san, thank you for taking us into the butterfly mansion. Okay. Take care of yourself, and get well soon. Kane said warmly, turning to leave with Shinobu. Just as she was about to step away, Tanjiro called out to her. Just a minute. Kane-san, Ryu-san, there's something I want to ask. Tanjiro began hesitantly, his eyes filled with hope. Have you ever heard of the Hinokami Kagura dance? Kane tilted her head, pondering for a moment, then shook her head gently. No, I haven't. She then turned towards Ryu, who had been silent, and asked. Have you heard of it? Chapter 45, Hinokami Kagura. I know about Hinokami Kagura, Ryu replied with a knowing smile. Tanjiro blinked in surprise before his eyes lit up with excitement. Ryu-san, you've heard about the Hinokami Kagura? Ryu nodded. Yes, the Hinokami Kagura, also known as the Dance of the Fire God. It's a ritual passed down through the Komatsu family, from father to son, along with the Hanafuda earrings. He continued, the dance is part of a ceremony performed every new year. The performer dances from sunset to sunrise as an offering to the fire god, a ritual meant to ward off threats and diseases. But, the true essence of this dance is the breathing technique, which is actually a derivative of the original breathing style sun breathing. If I'm not mistaken, you should have learned about the dance of the fire god from your father, right? Tanjiro nodded. Yes, I was asked to watch my father perform Hinokami Kagura from a young age. Kane, who had been listening, was startled by this revelation. She knew the significance of sun breathing, its origins and immense power thanks to Ryu's earlier explanations. This unexpected connection to Komatsu's family lineage filled her with a mix of surprise and shock. She directly asked Ryu, then, does that mean Tanjiro can perform sun breathing? No, Ryu replied, shaking his head. He continued, Tanjiro only knows the breathing style because it's been imprinted in his mind from watching his father perform the Hinokami Kagura. But it isn't perfect, not after being passed down for 500 years. Ryu's expression grew serious. Remember, sun breathing is the strongest of all the breathing techniques. Its power is immense, but there's a reason why no one could master it even after being personally taught by Yoriichi. Without proper training, mastery, and physical strength, if you attempt to use it in battle, it will burn your lungs and weaken your body severely. Just knowing the technique is useless. But Ryu glanced at Tanjiro and said, it's different for you, Tanjiro. It's in your blood as your family has been practicing it for generations. Besides, you have the mark. Tanjiro shook his head slightly. No, Ryu-san, I wasn't born with this mark, he explained with a smile, touching the scar on his forehead. I got this when I tackled my younger brother out of the way of a falling pot of boiling tea. Ryu raised an eyebrow with a hint of amusement. Oh, I see. But if I'm not mistaken, your father should have had a similar mark on his forehead, right? How do you explain that? Tanjiro hesitated, as he recalled his father's appearance. Yes, my father did have a mark on his forehead, just like mine, he admitted. But don't think too much about it, Ryu said with a smile. Every sun-breathing user develops a mark. It's part of their destiny. If you want to kill Mugen, Practice Hinokami Kagura. Start by practicing it once a day, and gradually work on extending the duration. Consistent practice is key to mastering it. Ryu-san, how do you know all this? Tanjiro asked, full of curiosity. Even his family had never known the full origin of Hinokami Kagura, but Ryu seemed to know it all. I know many things, it's nothing special, Ryu replied casually. If you don't mind, could you show me the Kagura dance? Yes, please show us, Tanjiro. Kane encouraged from the side, while Shinobu also equally curious. I will try, Tanjiro said hesitantly. Although he had watched his father perform the Hinokami Kagura a few times, he had never used it. After relaxing his breathing, Tanjiro began to perform the Hinokami Kagura. The dance looked graceful yet powerful, with each movement connected with the next. It was beautiful. Ryu watched intently, by opening his Sharingan, capturing every minute detail. Within a minute, Tanjiro completed the Kagura dance, but as he finished the final form, he began to cough violently, exhaling smoky breaths. Are you okay? Shinobu quickly rushed over and checked on him. How's he? Kane asked. He's burning up. I can even smell the scent of scorched flesh on him. This Hinokami Kagura is dangerous, Shinobu remarked. After a few seconds, Tanjiro's breathing stabilized, and his coughing subsided, but he felt slight weakness as if he'd been training for a day without stopping. Closing his Sharingan, Ryu looked at Tanjiro and activated the transparent world, quickly identifying the problem. Walking over to him, he said. Tanjiro, avoid practicing Hinokami Kagura during the day in the initial phase. This technique utilizes solar energy directly from the sun, which puts an immense strain on your body. Start by practicing it at night. Once your body has fully adapted to the sun breathing, you can gradually begin to practice it during the day. If you have any doubts or need guidance, you can come to me. Practice well. Yes. Thank you, Ryu-san. Tanjiro responded, bowing slightly in gratitude. After that, Ryu, Kane, and Shinobu departed, leaving Tanjiro to continue his training. After they had walked some distance, Kane broke the silence. You knew about this boy for a long time, didn't you? I didn't know him personally, but I knew of the Komatsu family, Ryu replied. I've been searching their traces for some time, but I never managed to find them. But after meeting Tanjiro, I knew he was the one. Shinobu's eyes softened with sympathy. Ryu-san, if you had found them earlier, maybe you could have prevented Mugen from destroying their family. He's a nice boy. Maybe, Ryu said quietly. But the past can't be changed. Suddenly, a thought crossed Kane's mind. Wait, that demon girl, Nezuko. You've guessed correctly, Ryu confirmed. There's a chance she might conquer the sun. It might be also the reason she's different from other demons. Is that why Mugen sent his minions after the siblings? Kane asked. No, he shouldn't know about this, Ryu replied. He's likely targeting Tanjiro because of his Hanafuda earrings. Those earrings were passed down from Yoriichi himself. Keep an eye on the boy, Ryu instructed. Let me know when Tanjiro sets out on his next mission, and inform Oyakata-sama as well. Warn him that strong demons may target Tanjiro, and we can use this as an opportunity to eliminate some demons. Kane agreed and asked with a smile, tell me the truth. Do you have the same ability as Kaguya-sama? You seem to know many things. That's a secret. Ryu replied with a smile before quickly changing the subject. By the way, I've memorized the Hinokami Kagura. It has a few wasted movements, or maybe Tanjiro isn't using it correctly. Give me some time, I can use its principles to modify your flower breathing. It might greatly enhance your strength. Chapter 46, Mugen Train. Nearly 2 months had passed since the battle at Mount Nadagumo, and a month and a half since their encounter with Upper Moon 1. At Nature Manor, Ryu was enjoying his morning tea, prepared by Hina, while Haruka trained relentlessly in the nearby training ground. Wrong. Start from the beginning. Your fourth form is incorrect, Ryu instructed calmly, his eyes never leaving his teacup. Yes, Ryu-san, Haruka replied, panting heavily, her body drenched in sweat. She restarted her training from the beginning, muttering under her breath, why hasn't the Kasugai Crow given me any missions today? Ryu-san's training is too tough and boring. Tatsuya's lucky he managed to escape today. Ka. Just then, Yubayashiki's Kasugai Crow swooped down from the sky, delivering its message in a clear, calm tone. Ryu-sama, I bring news from Kaguya-sama. You have been assigned a mission. You are to work with Flame Hashira Rengoku Kyojuro in locating the demon responsible for the people's disappearance on the Mugen train. This mission has been assigned to you as per your earlier suggestion. Kaguya-sama has also sent Tanjiro and his group on the same mission. Good. I'll set off now, Ryu said, rising to his feet. He then turned back to Haruka, whose eyes were shining in relief. Remember, just because I won't be here doesn't mean you can slack off on your training. If I find out you have, I'll double your training routine from now on. Ryu-san. Haruka wailed in helplessness, her shoulders slumping. If you don't want to die at the hands of a demon, then it's necessary, Ryu replied, his voice strict. He then turned to Yui and Hina and said. Keep an eye on her. You two know she's a bit too playful. If she skips any training, let me know. Yes, Ryu-sama. Yui and Hina replied in unison, showing a sympathetic glance in Haruka's direction. No. Haruka screamed dramatically, her voice echoing across the training ground. When Ryu arrived at the train station, guided by his Kasugai crow, he stumbled upon a classic scene. A slasher demon was confronting Rengoku Kyojuro. Ryu didn't intervene, instead, he leaned against a nearby wooden wall, watching the scene from a distance. The slasher demon, with eyes wide in disbelief, uttered, How the hell, did you catch up to me? Kyojuro's expression remained bright, his flame-patterned haori billowing in the wind. He spoke, I thought I told you not to get cocky. Trying to mask its fear, the slasher demon challenged Kyojuro. Why don't we see who's faster? Whether I can slash this old hag's throat first or you can claim my head first. Kyojuro replied with a confident smile, no need to put it to the test. You're. In the middle of his sentence, Kyojuro took action and executed his first form, Unknowing Fire. He rushed forward with blinding speed, a fiery blur across the station platform, and slashed at the demon's neck, decapitating the demon with flames dancing around. Too slow. Kyojuro finished the sentence. The demon collapsed to the ground, disappearing into ash. Nice, Kyojuro. You've gotten better, Ryu said, clapping his hands as he emerged from the shadows. Ryu. You're here. Kyojuro beamed, his smile as bright as ever. I was told you'd be joining me, but I didn't expect you to arrive so soon. Ha ha ha. His laughter echoed warmly through the night. Just then, several other demon slayers arrived at the scene, their expressions tense and alert. Flame Hashira, are you all right? One of the higher-ranking demon slayers asked anxiously. MN. I took care of it, Kyojuro added, dismissing the situation. Thank you for handling the situation. The demon slayer's expression eased, and his eyes landed on Ryu, who was standing next to Kyojuro. He quickly bowed in greeting. Nature Hashira, you're here as well. Ryu nodded slightly. You guys did well. What about the Mugen train? The demon slayer asked, shifting his gaze between the two Hashira. The Mugen train is currently being repaired and will be back in service tomorrow. However, our problem hasn't been solved yet. A demon that has devoured over 40 people is on a different level than this one. There should be a more powerful demon on the train. Kyojuro said. As the sun rose, casting a warm glow over the bustling city streets, people began to come out of their homes for work. The news that the Mugen train was back in service was publicized in the newspaper, trying to attract people to use the train again. Ryu and Kyojuro decided to take some rest, to ensure they would be at their peak when they board the Mugen train. Time passed in the blink of an eye. As the sun began to set, Ryu boarded the Mugen train alongside Rengoku, who was carrying 2 massive bags filled with beef bentos. He had purchased the entire stock from the little girl named Fuku and her grandmother, leaving them both speechless. Inside the train, Ryu and Kyojuro sat opposite each other by the window. Kyojuro smiled with his usual enthusiasm, holding up a large bento box. Ryu, let's eat. The bento is delicious, I tried one earlier. Without waiting for a response, Kyojuro eagerly unwrapped a box and took a bite, his face lighting up with delight. It's delicious! He exclaimed loudly, drawing the attention of several passengers. After a moment of awkward stares, they decided to ignore his outburst. Ryu simply shook his head, amused by Kyojuro. Gazing out the window, his eyes caught sight of Inosuke headbutting the side of the train, while Zenitsu frantically scolded him. Tanjiro also stood close by. They are here. Ryu thought, observing the trio. At that moment, the train began to pull away from the station, the rhythmic chugging of the engine filling the air. The trio Tanjiro, Inosuke and Zenitsu raced to board the train, skillfully evading the policemen who were hot on their heels. After a few seconds, they made their way into the compartment where he and Kyojuro were seated. Their attention was immediately drawn to Kyojuro, who was devouring the bento box with enthusiastic gusto and shouting, "Delicious!" loudly from time to time. They were left speechless by Kyojuro, who was enthusiastically devouring the bento box with loud exclamations. Zenitsu asked, "Tanjiro, is he really a flame Hashira, not some random glutton?" "He's the flame Hashira, Rengoku-san." Tanjiro soon spotted Ryu and exclaimed, "Ryu-san, you're here too." "Tanjiro, who's this?" Zenitsu asked. "He's Nature Hashira, Ryu." Ryu gestured to the seat beside him with a welcoming smile. "Tanjiro, come sit down. Are you here on a mission?" Tanjiro took the seat and answered, "Yes. Our Kasugai Crow informed us that the casualties on the Mugen train are increasing and instructed us to join the Flame Hashira on site. I didn't know you would be here too." "Well, I am here to make sure nothing goes wrong," Ryu replied casually. Kyojuro, having finished his bento, finally looked up and noticed Tanjiro. "You are the boy from that day at Yubayashiki Mansion." "Yes, I'm Tanjiro Kamado," Tanjiro nodded. He then introduced his companions. "And these are my fellow demon slayers, Inosuke and Zenitsu." Kyojuro's eyes lingered on Tanjiro. "I see. So, the box contains your demon sister?" "Yes," Tanjiro replied. Seeing Inosuke and Zenitsu causing a commotion, Ryu reminded them with a playful smile. "Stay alert, you two. A demon could appear at any moment." Hearing this, Zenitsu's eyes widened in panic. "We're not traveling towards the demon, but we are already here. I have to get off this train immediately." Just then, a train conductor entered the car to punch their tickets. Chapter 47, Memories. The conductor punched their tickets, one by one. Ryu didn't stop him. He knew it wouldn't be life-threatening and was curious to see what he would see in his dream. The moment the conductor punched their tickets, the train lights flickered, and Ryu felt his consciousness being affected by an unknown force. If he wanted, he could have resisted it, but instead, he allowed the sensation to wash over him. The next second, his eyes closed in reality, and he slipped into a dream. Yet, even in this dream state, Ryu retained full awareness. He knew he was dreaming. As he looked around, he realized he was in a familiar place, the backyard of his home on Earth. It felt so real, as if he had truly returned to the life he had once lived. Looking at his younger self, Ryu estimated that he must be around 10 years old. "Is this what I desire?" Ryu pondered, gazing at the scene before him. Standing in front of him was a 12-year-old girl with an athletic figure, her dress hugging her frame tightly. It was his sister, Maya, who was 2 years older than him. "Why are you spacing out?" she taunted, suddenly rushing forward. With a swift move, she grabbed him and effortlessly tossed him over her shoulder, pinning him to the ground. Her fist stopped mere inches from his face, a playful grin on her lips. "You lose again, little bro. Your breathing is off, and your core stability is lacking. A girl just threw you over her shoulder. You need to let your breath flow and strengthen your stance," his father, Gale, instructed sternly from the side. Ryu's father appeared to be around 30 years old, standing tall at 6.2 feet with a commanding presence. He had a strong, athletic build, his muscles defined from years of hard work and training. His posture was upright, while his eyes were sharp and discerning, seeming to observe everything around him with calmness. Aside from showing his stern side during their training, his father is gentle and cares for them deeply. "Yes, Dad." Rising to his feet, Ryu shifted his gaze to his sister and mused. "I couldn't beat you in real life as far as I remember, but we are in my dreams. I will defeat you today." He recalled being overpowered by his sister for as long as he could remember. There wasn't a single time he had managed to defeat her, as she was proficient in a range of fighting styles, from traditional martial arts to more modern techniques. Unlike Maya, Ryu excelled in swordsmanship, a skill he had learned from his mother. "Here, I come." Ryu attacked Maya with confidence and excitement, envisioning her defeat. But even in his dream, reality proved unforgiving. Despite using all the techniques he had mastered in the world of Demon Slayer, he couldn't land a single punch on her. It was as if she could predict his every move. I see. I'm fighting my subconsciousness, Ryu realized, he was fighting his own shadow. Okay, that's enough. Maya, why are you being so tough on your brother? He's just a kid, his mother, Terayuri, called out as she walked over to the training ground, carrying a tray full of snacks and fresh juice. Ryu's mother was a striking beauty in her mid-30s, yet she possessed a youthful appearance that made her look more like a woman in her mid-20s. Mom. I'm also your kid. You always favor him over me, Maya snorted, casting a devious smile at Ryu as if already planning the tortures she'd put him through the next time they sparred. Ryu shuddered. Mom, look at her smile. She's definitely planning something. Dad, I'm not going to spar with her anymore. Maya. His father called. It's okay, little Ryu, his mother Tara said soothingly, ruffling his hair. With me here, your sister won't do anything. In the next moment, the scene changed to a warm and intimate backdrop. The family of four sat in a circle, enjoying snacks and fresh juice while chatting cheerfully. It was lively with Ryu and Maya teasing each other. As Ryu took in this heartwarming scene, his eyes welled up with tears unconsciously, missing them. Yet, he quickly shook his head, reminding himself that this was merely a dream, a fleeting glimpse of the life he once lived. I will definitely return to Earth, Ryu thought. The next moment, his breath climbed and his eyes turned into Sharingan. With a slight concentration, he shattered the dream space and woke up, returning to reality. Ryu woke up just in time to see a small girl trying to tie a rope around his wrist. What are you doing, little girl? He asked. You. Before she could respond, Ryu knocked her out with a clear strike to the back of her head. When he looked around, he saw that everyone else in the compartment was asleep, while Kyojuro, Tanjiro, Inosuke, and Zentus's wrists were bound with ropes. His eyes then landed on Nezuko, who was sitting next to Tanjiro and using her flames to burn through the ropes. It wouldn't be long before Tanjiro wakes up. Ryu thought, sensing the entirety of the train with his extraordinary perception. Outside. Lower rank 1 and Mew stood atop the moving train, relishing the feeling of the people sinking deeper into their dreams. He mused aloud. They're lucky to die while dreaming. Humans have such fragile hearts. No matter how strong the demon slayers are, if you destroy their spiritual core, they'll die just like that. Suddenly, Inmyu's senses tingled as he detected someone waking from the dream. What a strong spirit! He must be a Hashira. But it doesn't matter. Every inch of this train has become an extension of my body, my blood, my flesh, and my bones. And, I have many hostages. A few seconds later, Tanjiro jolted awake from the dream with a startled cry, his hand instinctively reaching to his neck. He gasped for a moment, before spotting his sister. Nezuko, are you okay? As he scanned the area, his eyes met Ryu's. Ryu-san, you weren't affected. Ryu replied casually, such a weak demon's dream can't affect me. Now that you're awake, go deal with the demon. Only through fighting the strong demons, you can improve yourself. Understood, Tanjiro replied and turned to his sister. Nezuko, burn off everyone's ropes. Nezuko promptly used her flames to incinerate the ropes binding the others. At that moment, the kids who tied ropes around their wrists woke up and confronted Tanjiro. Tanjiro knocked them all unconscious and climbed to the top of the train to confront Inmyu. Not long after Tanjiro had left, Inosuke and Zenitsu also awoke, followed by Kyojuro. Seeing Kyojuro wake up, Ryu shook his head and remarked in friendly ridicule. You took your time, Kyojuro. Even the younger ones woke up before you. Ha ha ha. I dozed off a little. I'm ashamed as a Hashira. If there were a stone nearby, I'd crawl under it. Kyojuro stated and took action without wasting a second. In a single, powerful attack, Kyojuro destroyed the demon flesh crawling over 2 compartments, trying to devour the passengers. Chapter 48, Here Comes the Upper Moon 3. The entire train shook violently from Kyojuro's powerful attack. Tanjiro was caught off guard, lost his balance, and crashed to the ground, stunned by what had caused so much damage. As he climbed to his feet, Kyojuro suddenly appeared in front of him and shouted, Young Kamado! Rengoku-san! Tanjiro exclaimed, surprised to see the flame Hashira. Kyojuro's face was bright. I was pretty thorough with my attack, so it should take a while for the demon to regenerate. The train has 8 cars. I will protect the rear 5. Ryu, Zenitsu, and your sister will take care of the remaining ones. You and the boar-headed boy are responsible for finding the demon's head. Tanjiro hesitated for a moment. But this demon is... Rengoku cut him off, his voice firm and motivating. No matter what form the demon takes, there's always a head. I want you to show me how gutsy you are. Clearing his mind of distractions, Tanjiro sprinted toward the front of the train, calling out to his friend, Inosuke. Where are you? Shut up. I'm here, on top of the beast. Inosuke shouted back from above. Hearing his voice, Tanjiro let out a small sigh of relief and said, Inosuke. Keep an eye on the first 3 cars. You don't have to tell me. Inosuke yelled as he charged forward, brandishing his dual blades. And by the way, I've already found it. With my all-out 7th form, I've located this beast's weak spot. You did? So, it's in the front after all. Tanjiro asked, his eyes narrowing. Yeah, up front. And it's a hell of a lot creepier. Inosuke confirmed, his voice filled with wild excitement. The two of them pressed forward and finally found the demon's neck hidden beneath the floorboards of the train. Without wasting a second, they worked together, aiming to sever its neck and end the demon. Meanwhile, with his extraordinary perception, Ryu noticed that the entire train was now enveloped by the demon's flesh. It was an ugly sight, but if the train were to derail, the demonic flesh would act as a form of cushion to protect the cars and passengers from the impact. At that moment, the squirming tentacles slashed by Kyojuro once again began to rise from the floor, swarming toward the other passengers. Without hesitation, Ryu unsheathed his Nichiren sword. At a blinking speed, he slashed through the tentacles, severing them cleanly. The destroyed tentacles struggled to regenerate, being cut by Ryu's nature aura. Tanjiro and Inosuke's battle with the lower moon one reached its climax. Inosuke lunged forward, charging down with his twin blades. He took a deep breath and shouted, Beast breathing, 4th fang, slice and dice. He executed a rapid series of diagonal slashes, his swords tearing through the demon's tentacles with precision. The storm of cuts caused the demon to howl in pain, slashing through its layers of defenses. Before Tanjiro's eyes, the demon's neck bone was finally exposed. Wasting no time, Tanjiro surged forward and performed Hinokami Kagura while praying to his father to protect him. He yelled, Clear blue sky! As he spun his body in a circular motion. His sword arced around, flames spiraling from the blade as he completed a full 360-degree slash. The fiery attack cut cleanly through the demon's neck, severing it completely. The sight was breathtaking, but the attack also broke off the train engine from the other cars. The train jolted violently, causing it to jump off the tracks. Lower Moon One's scream echoed through the air, filled with pain and disbelief. Terrified by his impending death, Inmu threatened to take as many lives as he could. His demon tentacles lashed out, grabbing at the passengers with the intent to kill. Seeing this, Ryu and Kyojuro took action. 5th form, Lightning Storm. Ryu's body crackled with blue arcs as he flashed from the last car to the front, slicing through the demon's tentacles with blinding speed. Not a single passenger was harmed. The train, now bleeding demon blood, derailed completely off the tracks. However, the demon's flesh covering the train acted as a buffer, cushioning the impact and preventing a catastrophic crash. The passengers, though shaken and covered in minor cuts and bruises, were spared from any severe injuries. Dust and dirt filled the air, and the harsh sound of metal against the ground reverberated. The derailed train slid for a distance with a noisy screech, before finally coming to a halt. You two did a good job, Ryu commented as he walked through the debris and air of dirt. He frowned as he stepped on the slowly disintegrating lower Moon One, Inmu. With a slight force to his legs, the demon's life aura disappeared, filled with unwillingness and terrified at his impending death. Ryu-san, Tanjiro called out. Kamato boy, you are impressive, Kyojuro said as he flashed to Tanjiro's side, offering his praise with a bright smile. Just as in the original series, Kyojuro then assisted Tanjiro in stopping the bleeding from the torn blood vessels using one's breathing technique. Thank you, Rengoku-san, Tanjiro said, a smile of gratitude spreading across his face. At that moment, Ryu's perception detected an incoming aura of malice, only slightly weaker than Kokushibo's. He glanced over with a grin, recognizing the presence. Here comes the Upper Moon 3. Out of nowhere, a blast erupted behind them, kicking up a thick cloud of dust. As the dust began to settle, an overwhelming presence flooded the air, pressing down on everyone present like an invisible weight. Kyojuro, Inashuk, and Tanjiro quickly turned, their eyes widening in unison. From the dissipating dust cloud, a dark figure slowly emerged, radiating an oppressive force that sent a chill down their spines. Silence descended upon the scene, and Kyojuro's hand instinctively moved to grip the hilt of his sword. The demon was a muscular young man, likely around 18, with fair skin that had a strange greenish tint and bright pink hair fluffed out around his head. A smile slipped onto Akaza's face as he stared at the group with yellow eyes and blue sclera with the kanji for upper rank 3 etched into the irises. He's an upper rank demon. Everyone, aside from Ryu, was horrified at the sight of this powerful foe. The demon scanned over them, his yellow eyes gleamed as they landed on Tanjiro. In an instant, his figure blurred, vanishing from sight. The ground trembled, a slight shockwave rippling out from where he had stood just moments before. In a flash, Akaza reappeared directly in front of Tanjiro, his movement so fast. His fist was mere inches away from Tanjiro's face, the force behind it enough to smash his head into a pulp. Time slowed down as Tanjiro's eyes widened at the demon's blow that seemed inevitable. Just as Kyojuro was about to slash at the demon, a hand rested on his shoulder. It was Ryu. At the same time, Ryu's leg hardened with Tekai, and with a powerful twist of his body, he threw a devastating kick at Akaza's chest. Bang! A thunderous bang echoed through the air as Ryu's kick connected, triggering a shockwave that rippled outward. The domineering impact sent the upper moon 3 hurtling through the air. Akaza's figure crashed into a distant tree, destroying several trees in his path before finally coming to a stop. Dust and debris filled the air as the demon pulled himself up from the wreckage, his face filled with surprise and excitement. Chapter 49, Kyojuro vs Akaza. What a heavy and overwhelming aura. So, this is an upper-rank demon. Kyojuro thought, feeling the pressure of his demonic presence. He took a deep breath and said, Ryu, let me fight him. Ryu glanced at him. Are you sure? This demon is incredibly strong. You're not his opponent. I know that, Kyojuro replied, his voice steady and bold. But I have this feeling almost as if we were meant to face each other. If I don't fight him now, I might not get this chance again. I understand. Ryu nodded, feeling the determination in Kyojuro's tone. But if I see you're in real danger, I won't hesitate to step in. He then mused, is this what they call destiny? That was a powerful kick. It broke a few of my bones. Akaza glanced at his deformed chest, which healed almost instantly. A smile spread across his lips as he turned his gaze to Ryu. You've got impressive strength, but it's a pity, you're just a mere human. As you age, your strength will decline, and eventually, you'll die. What's your name? Akaza asked as he dashed toward Ryu, closing the distance between them in an instant. Ryu looked at him calmly, offering no reply. Just as Akaza drew near, Kyojuro, who was standing next to Ryu, unleashed his attack. Flame breathing, first form, rising scorching sun. His sword ignited with a brilliant red flame, slicing through the air. The blazing blade cleaved through Akaza's chest effortlessly like butter. Akaza leaped back, flipping across the battlefield, his chest regenerating almost immediately. I see. You both are Hashira. Now this. This is more like it. Akaza's grin widened with newfound excitement. His gaze shifted to Kyojuro, and his eyes gleamed with interest. You've got a nice sword. Kyojuro, unfazed by his aura, questioned him. I don't understand one thing. Why would you go for an injured person first instead of coming after us? Akaza replied, when the strong fight, the weak only get in the way. The mere sight of weak humans makes me sick. Is that so? We have only just met, and I already find you detestable. Kyojuro expressed his thoughts bluntly. Akaza chuckled. I can tell your strength at a glance. You are indeed worthy of your title as Hashira. Your fighting spirit is like the finest steel honed to the edge, just short of reaching the human limit. For some reason, the thought of fighting Kyojuro filled Akaza with an unknown exhilaration. He could sense Hashira's spirit growing brighter like embers stoked into a blazing flame. As for Ryu, Akaza ignored his presence entirely. He considered him insignificant as long as he didn't interfere with his enjoyment of the fight. In his eyes, Ryu was just another Hashira, no different from the countless others he had faced before. It wasn't as if he hadn't fought 2 Hashira at the same time in the past, they were all weak in his eyes. Even if they joined forces, Akaza was confident they would pose no real threat to him. He's a demon after all. Tell me your name, Demon Slayer, Akaza asked, genuinely interested in Kyojuro. I am the Flame Hashira, Rengoku Kyojuro. Kyojuro, I have a brilliant proposal for you. Why don't you become a demon? Without hesitation, Kyojuro replied, I will not. Is that so? Akaza's smile faded slightly as he dropped into a fighting stance, a fierce grin returning to his face. Suddenly, a light blue, snowflake-shaped compass materialized beneath his feet, its edges edged with numbers ranging from 1 to 12. Technique development, destructive death. Compass needle. Be careful, Rengoku-san. Tanjiro spoke up. Kyojuro nodded, his grip tightening on his blade. If you won't become a demon, then I have no choice but to kill you. Akaza anon cued. In a flash, he rushed at Kyojuro with lightning speed, his fist aiming to smash Kyojuro's face. Boom! Kyojuro met the assault head-on, parrying the powerful blow with his sword. Following that, the two blurred into a heated clash of strength and skill, their movements too fast to follow. Blue and orange beams of light streaked across the battlefield, demonstrating the intense exchange between them. In all my years, I've never gotten to kill a Flame Hashira. Akaza shouted with exhilaration, his voice filled with excitement. I can't keep up with their speed. Inosuke exclaimed. There's no opening. If I jump in, I'll definitely die. I can feel it in my bones. Those two are in a different dimension. Me neither, Tanjiro gasped, struggling to follow their movements. An upper moon 3 is this strong. What about Muse and Kibutsuji? Seeing the worried expressions on their faces, Ryu reassured them with a calm voice, Don't worry, Tanjiro, boarhead. As long as I'm here, nothing will happen to Kyojuro. Bang! A powerful kick sent Kyojuro flying out of the woods, his body crashing into the ground with a heavy thud. Akaza strolled leisurely out from the forest, as he urged. Turn into a demon, Kyojuro. Kyojuro panted, struggling to catch his breath as he used his katana for support. Akaza continued, Fight me forever and get stronger together with me. I refuse, Kyojuro responded firmly, pushing himself back up. I will not become a demon. Calming his breath, he poised his katana and launched himself at Akaza, flame-breathing, third form, blazing universe. Jumping high in the air, Kyojuro slashed his sword down in a powerful arcing vertical slash that nearly cleaved Akaza in two. Evading the strike, Akaza countered, destructive death, air type. By punching the empty air in front of him, a shockwave erupted from his fist, sending Kyojuro hurtling backward despite his attempt to block the invisible attack with his blade. They clashed once again, their movements almost a blur of speed. Blue energy blasts from Akaza's fists collided with the burning flames of Kyojuro's attacks, lighting up the battlefield in a chaotic display of fiery bursts and glowing shockwaves. Within a few moments, they exchanged countless blows. But then, suddenly, Akaza stopped his attacks and gazed at Kyojuro in sympathy. On the other side, Kyojuro looked battered. The left side of his face was smeared with crimson, his complexion pale and exhausted. A trickle of blood dripped from his chin, landing on the ground at his feet. Don't tell me. Tanjiro looked at Kyojuro's state in disbelief. No way. Inosuke felt the same shock and disbelief. Rengoku-san. Tanjiro called out, worry evident in his voice as he turned to Ryu. Ryu-san, please take action. If you two fight together, you can defeat the demon or at least delay him until sunrise. Yeah, fair face, do something. Inosuke added, his usual bravado tinged with frustration. Ryu's eye twitched at the nickname. Fair face? What kind of weird name is that? Let's fight more, Akaza uttered, his voice tinged with disappointment. Don't die on me, Kyojuro. Every impressive slash you've inflicted upon me has already healed completely, Akaza continued. But what about you? Smashed eye, broken ribs, damaged organs, you can't keep fighting like this. If you were a demon, you would heal in the blink of an eye, Akaza continues. You can struggle all you want, but a human can never defeat a demon of my caliber. At that moment, the tense atmosphere was abruptly broken by a sudden laughter. Pfft! I'm sorry. Ryu chuckled. Why are you laughing? Akaza's face twisted in anger, his aura flaring with rage at being interrupted. A human can never beat a demon? Your joke is too funny, Ryu replied and continued to taunt with a smirk. Do you know someone named Kokushibo? He's supposed to be the Upper Moon one. We crossed paths about a month ago. You should have seen him when he fled from me. He looked downright pathetic. You may not have heard about it, as who would share such a shameful story? Shut up. Akaza's expression darkened, but Ryu remained undeterred. I'll give you a chance, Akaza. If you manage to graze me and make me shed even a drop of my blood, I'll consider letting you live. Otherwise, you're dying under the sunday. Ryu glanced at the horizon, where the faintest glow of dawn was beginning to emerge. There are only a few minutes until sunrise. Make your attacks count. Chapter 50, End of Akaza. Seeing the signs of dawn on the distant horizon, Akaza felt a surge of urgency, but at the same time, he was enraged by Ryu's words. I need to kill this detestable human and get out of here. I'll show him that humans are as weak as ants compared to demons. Ignoring Kyojuro, Akaza locked his sight on Ryu. Wasting no time, Akaza launched his attack, holding nothing back as he had with Kyojuro. Destructive death, disorder. He bolted toward Ryu, unleashing a barrage of shockwave-enhanced punches. His fists blurred with speed, each strike like a bullet fired from a gun, invisible to the naked eye. Boom! 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 Watching the punches coming at him, Ryu smiled. Hardening his fists with Tekai, he met Akaza's blows head-on, matching his speed punch for punch. Within moments, the sheer power of Ryu's strikes shattered Akaza's fists into pieces. With a final punch, Ryu struck Akaza square in the face, sending the Upper Moon 3 demon flying backward. Half of Akaza's face was obliterated by the blow, but it regenerated instantly. How is this possible? Akaza's eyes widened in disbelief. He's so strong, but why does this human show no aura, unlike Kyojuro? He's too powerful. This is not the time to be entangled with him, I need to escape. Akaza isn't a fool. He knew that if he stayed any longer, Ryu might hold him here until sunrise. Using the momentum from Ryu's punch, he turned his body in midair and sprinted toward the nearby trees, desperate to flee. But as he turned, Ryu was already standing before him. Don't even think about it. I told you you're not leaving today. Wasn't he just behind me? Akaza thought, an unknown terror creeping into his mind. There's something strange about this human. Ryu swung his sword casually, almost in a lazy manner. Akaza instinctively raised his arms to block, but in an instant, his hands were severed clean off. Meanwhile, Tanjiro and Inosuke rushed over to help Kyojuro. Rengoku-san, are you alright? Tanjiro asked, concern obvious in his tone. Don't worry about me, Kyojuro replied, his gaze still fixed on the battle happening before them. You're the one who should avoid moving around too much. What a monster. I thought he was weak, but he's ridiculously strong. One punch from him and my head would split open like a watermelon. Inosuke exclaimed loudly, his eyes wide with amazement. Ryu-san is so strong. He can even fight an Upper Moon demon barehanded. Is it some kind of skill? Tanjiro exclaimed, equally shocked by Ryu's strength. Kyojuro laughed heartily. Ha ha ha. What did you two think of Ryu? He's known as the strongest demon slayer. Even an Upper Moon one couldn't do anything to him. But if he hadn't shown up today, I would have surely fallen at the Upper Moon's hand. His assumption was spot on. Did Ryu-san anticipate that an Upper Moon would come today? Tanjiro asked, surprised by Kyojuro's words. No, he guessed that a powerful demon might come after you, Kyojuro explained. What? Tanjiro exclaimed, taken aback by the revelation. Dash. Feeling the sunlight rising in the distance, every demonic cell in Akaza's body screamed for him to flee. There were even signs of Mugen's instincts trying to take over. Ryu's death was no longer his priority, it was survival. A voice echoed in his mind, persistent and pressing, live. Live. Escape the sun and survive. Hurry. With the threat of the sun looming closer and Ryu blocking his escape route, Akaza's irritation boiled over. He roared in fury, you damn human. Die. Destructive death. Final form, blue-silver chaotic afterglow. Ryu squinted his eyes, sensing the sudden surge in Akaza's demonic aura. It should be his ultimate technique, the final form of his blood demon art. Driven by madness, Akaza unleashed an omnidirectional barrage of countless thin, razor-sharp shockwaves, nearly 100, all converging on Ryu from every angle. Seeing the incoming shockwave punches, Ryu's body hardened with Tekai as he drew his Nichiren sword. 8th form, Time Zone. Time seemed to slow down in Ryu's eyes as he effortlessly dodged Akaza's relentless barrage of punches. In a flash, Ryu closed the distance, his movements a blur. With incredible speed, he slashed his sword multiple times, severing Akaza's arms and legs in a whirlwind of cuts. To Akaza's horror, his severed limbs did not regenerate. It was as if some mysterious force was disrupting his demonic cells, preventing them from acting. Why is this happening? Akaza's thoughts raced, and a rare trace of fear crossed his face. What are you doing, Akaza? Get out of there! Mugen's voice suddenly echoed in his mind, intense and commanding. With terror-filled eyes, Akaza struggled to move, but without his limbs, he could hardly do anything. He roared, "What did you do? You damn human!" Ryu calmly walked over, his expression merciless. Without wasting any words, he drove his katana straight through Akaza's heart, impaling him to the ground. He said in a soft voice, "I'm trying to give you peace, but you don't have to thank me." Using a small vial, he collected some of Akaza's blood without anyone noticing. Being the Upper Moon 3, the concentration of Mugen's blood within him should be significantly higher. With this blood, Tamayo's research could advance more rapidly. As the sun's rays began to break through the horizon, their golden light advanced closer, inch by inch. Akaza's desperation intensified, as he screamed in despair. "No!" His tone was filled with disbelief and fear of death. "How can I fall here? I still haven't reached the peak of martial arts." At that moment, "Enough, Hakuji. It's time for you to come to us." A gentle and soft voice pierced through Akaza's desperation, stopping his struggle. A fair-skinned young woman in a pink kimono appeared before him, her presence as delicate as a cherry blossom in spring. It was Koyoki, Akaza's fiancée from when he was still human. "Who are you?" Akaza muttered, his mind confused and filled with sudden inexplicable longing. As he looked into her serene eyes, fragments of memories began to surface in Akaza's mind. For the first time in centuries, he questioned himself, "Why am I fighting? What am I fighting for? No. You belong to me, Akaza. You will survive and fight for me. Get out of there!" Mugen's commanding voice boomed, trying to reassert his control over Akaza. But then, something within Akaza snapped. The connection that once bound him to the Demon King severed, leaving him free. With that connection lost, a flood of human memories returned to him. He remembered Koyoki, her laughter, her kindness, the love they had shared. A deep sense of relief washed over him as her name and the memories of their time together blossomed in his mind like flowers in spring. A soft hand reached out to caress his face, and Akaza's eyes widened as he looked down. The battlefield around him seemed to vanish, replaced by a peaceful, dreamlike landscape. Koyoki stood before him, her soft eyes gazing deeply into his own, her smile warm and innocent. "It's okay, Hakuji," she whispered, her voice gentle and soothing. Tears welled up in Akaza or Hakuji's eyes, spilling over as he fell to his knees. The sight of his lost love filled him with a sense of peace. "Welcome home, Koyoki," he uttered, his voice breaking with emotion as he gazed at her. He had no reason to keep fighting, now that she was here. All he wanted now was to be with her, to find love in her embrace once again. As the sun's rays fell on his body, Akaza stopped struggling and closed his eyes, surrendering to the sunlight. With memories of the love, his form disintegrated and vanished into the air. In his final moments, the figures of Akaza and Koyoki appeared before Ryu as spirits. They exchanged one last look at Ryu with gratitude before their forms dissolved into the light. Such a wonderful and emotional world, Ryu thought, glimpsing their fading figures. Chapter 51, Reactions. He killed the Upper Moon Demon. Gahahaha. Wonderful. He's so strong, I want to fight him. Inosuke laughed, his eyes gleaming with excitement. How can this be? Tanjiro murmured in disbelief, his eyes wide as he stared at Ryu. The demon Rengoku-san fought with everything he had, was defeated so effortlessly by Ryu-san. He's incredible. Wonderful. Rengoku laughed heartily. Demon points plus 10. Killed an Upper Moon for the first time. Reward, 50 demon points. System, are you kidding me? You only gave me 50 demon points for killing an Upper Moon. Ryu complained as he was expecting some kind of reward. Host, your strength has already reached the pinnacle of this world. Providing any more rewards would be pointless. The system is being generous by giving you 50 points, the system replied in a monotone voice. Ryu was left speechless. He knew arguing with the system was fruitless, so he sighed and decided to check his status panel instead. Name, Ryu. Physique, Nature Advanced, 42%. Skill, Nature Breathing, Proficient 1/500, Tech High Max, Sharingan Not Upgradable, Transparent World. Demon Points, 100-120-180. At least, I got some demon points, Ryu thought, feeling a bit better. He then closed his status panel and went to check Rengoku and others. Walking over, Ryu glanced at Rengoku using his transparent world to check his condition. Despite Rengoku's battered condition, his injuries were recoverable. Well done, Ryu, Kyojuro expressed in a loud tone. If not for you, I might have fallen here. But fighting that demon has given me some inspiration. I will definitely surpass my previous self after some training. Forget about training, you need treatment first, Ryu chuckled. Judging by your injuries, you'll need at least a month to recover. Is your eye all right? Yes, Kyojuro reassured him. That demon didn't damage my eye directly. I managed to turn my face at the last moment, but it seemed a blood vessel got damaged. I just can't open it. Ryu nodded, good. You fought fearlessly, Kyojuro. At that moment, a crow's caw sounded in the distance. Following the sound, the Kakushi arrived. They urgently provided the medical emergency and carried Tanjiro and Kyojuro who were injured heavily. The news of the Upper Moon's fall spread rapidly among the ranks of the demon slayers, filling them with happiness. Meanwhile, on Mugen's side, it's the opposite, the loss of an Upper Moon 3 was a significant blow to their strength. Inside a mansion belonging to a family specializing in medicine, Mugen, in his child form, flipped through a medicinal book in an unhurried manner, searching for any information on the blue spider lily. This elusive flower may be the key to his greatest desire overcoming the sun. Suddenly, his expression changed from calm to cold, and his demonic momentum shot through the room. He could feel the situation with Akaza and the approaching sunrise in the distance. A deep irritation rose within him. A mere human forced you into this state? Useless trash! Mugen burned in anger as his human pupils turned deep red, preparing to seize control of Akaza to help him escape his predicament. But then, without warning, his connection to Akaza was severed. What? He exclaimed. After a few seconds, his demonic senses conveyed to him Akaza was dead. In a moment of anger, Mugen tore the book in his hand into pieces. You've disappointed me, Akaza. How dare you lose to a human? If you hadn't died, I would have killed you myself. After a few seconds, Mugen calmed himself and searched through Akaza's final memories. After a few moments, he muttered, the nature Hashira, Ryu, the same one who fought Kokushibo. A user of nature breathing? I don't recall any nature breathing users in the Demon Slayer Corps before. Could it be that another human like Yoriichi Tsujikuni is about to emerge? No, only the sun-breathing user may pose a threat to him. When he thought of Yoriichi, a memory suppressed deep within him surfaced, that humiliating memory of being forced to flee like a dog and hide like a rat. He would not let history repeat itself. He would not allow another threat of that magnitude to rise. The human named Ryu must be eliminated, crushed before he could grow any stronger. His thoughts once again returned to Akaza. He was a loyal subordinate who had been searching for the blue spider lily. Creating another demon of Akaza's caliber would take time, a process Mugen despised very much. His rage reignited, and Mugen's gaze turned cold. In a voice as cold as ice, he commanded, Nakame, summon the remaining upper moons. Dash. At the Yubayashiki mansion. Well done, Ryu, Kyojuro. You managed to defeat Upper Moon 3 without any casualties, Kaguya Yubayashiki said, his voice filled with rare excitement. However, in his enthusiasm, he began to cough violently, a mouthful of blood spilling from his lips. Kaguya-sama. Amini, his wife, rushed to his side, helping him with her gentle hands. Kaguya smiled, his eyes bright. A century-old pattern has been broken. This is a sign that fate has begun to change. Soon, it will reach that man. Mugen Kibutsuji. He took a deep breath and uttered in a resolute tone. I swear, we of this generation will be the ones to defeat him, the sole black mark upon our family. The curse ends with me. Dash. The Kasugai crows swiftly delivered the news to all the Hashira, their cheerful cause echoing through the various places of Demon Slayer Corps. Wind Hashira Manor. In the training ground, Sanemi's figure flickered between the wooden stakes, each swing of his sword cleaved the stakes cleanly in half. The crow's arrival interrupted his intense training. Upper Moon 3 has been defeated through the combined efforts of Ryu-sama and Rengoku-sama. Hearing the news, Sanemi paused, his grip tightening on his blade. Good for him. But I won't be outdone, he muttered, a ferocious glint in his eyes. I'll intensify my training and slay even more demons. The image of Ryu flashed in his mind. An upper rank. I won't lose to you, Ryu. Dash. Butterfly Mansion. Ryu-san is incredible. He defeated an upper moon demon, Shinobu praised with a bright smile. As expected of the man my sister likes. Kane didn't refute her sister's words, her expression calm yet filled with joy. With his strength, it's no surprise he could defeat an upper moon. Thankfully, he anticipated the attack and went with Kyojuro. Kyojuro-san is injured. I should prepare the medicines in advance, Shinobu remarked and quickly instructed Aoi to gather the supplies required to treat internal injuries. Chapter 52, Upper Moon Meeting. Infinity Castle. Twing. The sound of a biwa resonated through a vast labyrinth of twisting stairs, disorienting halls, and endless floors that seemed to stretch on forever. Doma blinked his rainbow-colored eyes in confusion as he found himself suddenly transported here. After a moment of silence, Doma's lips curved into a fake sorrowful smile. It seems one of my friends has died. Who is it, biwa woman? The biwa woman remained silent, her expression stoic as her fingers moved across the strings of her instrument. With each strum of the biwa, the figures of the other upper moon demons began to appear. Daki, Jayataro, Hantengu, and Gyuko, all emerged one by one. The upper moons looked at each other, sharing a single thought. Since we were summoned here, it can only mean one thing: an upper moon has been killed by the Demon Slayer Corps. Who could it be? Noticing that only Akaza and Upper Moon 1 are missing. Is it Akaza? Doma wondered aloud, his tone filled with genuine surprise for once. He hadn't considered the possibility of Upper Moon 1, Kokushibo, being defeated. No human could hope to kill that monster. Doma-sama, Daki greeted with a smile laced with haughtiness and arrogance. Oh, Daki! Jayataro! Doma's face lit up with a false expression of relief. You two are here. I thought perhaps it was you two who had perished this time. Isn't it? Lord Doma! A voice came from a porcelain vase. From within the vase, the bizarre form of Gyuko emerged. His body was twisted, with his mouth where his eyes should be and his eyes where his forehead and mouth should be. Several small, disjointed arms sprouted from his head, each moving independently. The kanji for upper rank was engraved on the eye on his forehead, and 5 was inscribed on the eye in his mouth. It's happy to see you. It's been what, 90 years? Gyuko spoke. Hey there, long time no see, Gyuko. Doma waved at him with a friendly smile. Is that a brand new pot? It looks absolutely beautiful. You remember the pot you gave me? Doma continued with a grin. I'm currently displaying a woman's head in it in my room. That wasn't its intended use, Gyuko replied, his tone oddly contemplative. But I find it intriguing. You should come over to my place sometime, Doma suggested cheerfully. From behind a nearby staircase, the hunched figure of Upper Moon 4 Hantengu cowered, his body trembling slightly. Terrifying. Terrifying. He muttered, his eyes filled with fear. Gyuko, it seems you forgot to count since we were apart. It's been exactly 113 years since our last summoning. An indivisible number, unlucky and uneven. An odd number. Terrifying. Terrifying. Is Mugen-sama not here yet? Daki asked, her voice a blend of respect and a slight hint of tenderness. No, Nakame replied in her expressionless tone, the strings of her biwa vibrating slightly as her fingers rested on them. What about Kokushibo-sama? Doma inquired, his gaze shifting around the vast expanse. I summoned Upper Moon 1 here first, Nakame answered. I have been here the entire time, Kokushibo's voice came from the shadows of the chamber. His words drew the attention of the other Upper Moons while his imposing presence made everyone silent. He added, Mugen-sama is here. Mugen Kibutsuji's arrival was quiet as he appeared on the ceiling above them, seemingly defying gravity, clad in a white shirt and black vest, an air of superiority radiating from him. He held a book in one hand, his eyes cold and emotionless as he gazed down at his subordinates. Flipping through the pages of his book, Mugen spoke, his voice cutting through everyone like a blade. Akaza died at the hands of the Demon Slayer Corps. He was killed by a nature Hashira named Ryu. The upper moon ranks are now incomplete. The demons remained silent, their faces slightly surprised by Akaza's fall. After all, he was the strongest among them after Upper Moon 1 and 2. Yet, he was killed. His death was a reminder that even the strongest could fall. Despite the shock of losing such a powerful comrade, none of them showed a hint of grief or sorrow. Human emotions were a foreign concept to them. Doma's rainbow-colored eyes flickered with a momentary thought of Akaza, but he quickly brushed it off with a smile. "Well, that's unfortunate," he said with a light tone, almost as if he were commenting on the weather. Mugen continued, his tone as cold as ice. If Akaza had used his full strength from the beginning, he wouldn't have been so helpless against a human who merely stalled him until sunrise. How worthless! But it doesn't matter. I expect nothing from any of you, he added, his words laced with displeasure. Has there ever been a time when I failed to meet your expectations, Mugen-sama? Doma said with a smile. Mugen did not even glance at Doma. He continued to flip through the book, his irritation growing. He said sharply, "You still haven't annihilated the Yubayashiki family. And what about the blue spider lily? Why haven't you found it after all these centuries? I'm starting to question why you all even exist." As he spoke, his anger seemed to manifest physically, pressing down on the demons with his overwhelming momentum. The book in his hand was shredded into countless fragments. "Please forgive us, my lord. I beg you." Han Tengu cried out, falling to his knees, his voice filled with fear and panic. Kokushibo lowered his head and expressed his reason. "I have no excuses. The Yubayashiki family is master at hiding themselves." Doma, his usual cheerful demeanor replaced with a downcast expression, spoke up next. "My abilities are not suited for search and detection, I am at my wit's end. My frustration has reached the boiling point. I have been far too tolerant of your failures, all because of your status as upper ranks," Mugen Kibutsuji said, his voice stern. "I want you all to act with urgency. Find that human named Ryu. I want him dead." As Mugen finished speaking, an image of Ryu burned itself into the minds of every upper moon demon. His face, his aura, his fight with Akaza and Kokushibo, every detail was imprinted vividly in their minds. Then, the sound of a biwa strumming filled the vast hall, and in the blink of an eye, a door slammed shut, and Mugen Kibutsuji vanished. "Ah!" Doma exclaimed in a surprised tone, momentarily stunned. "What is it, Doma-sama?" Kyoko inquired in curiosity. "I encountered this human named Ryu a few years ago," Doma said, remembering their encounter. "He interrupted me while I was playing with a particularly high-quality meal. If I had known he would grow to such a level of strength, I would have killed him then." Kokushibo's figure flashed before others, his presence radiating pressure. "I have been searching for his traces these past few days, since our last encounter. The last time we met, I retreated because of the approaching dawn, but he is indeed stronger than most of you might think. If any of you encounter him," he continued, "I suggest not act alone. Pass the message. I will kill him myself." Chapter 53, A Kiss. At the Butterfly Mansion, 2 days had passed since the events of the Mugen train incident. The morning air was fresh and filled with the sounds of nature, a peaceful contrast to the intense sword clash taking place in the courtyard. Clang! 2 swords collided in mid-air, the clash sending a slight shockwave through the backyard. Kane faced off against Ryu, her movements swift and intense. Kane's blade shimmered with elegance as she performed the intricate forms of flower breathing, her every movement embodying beauty, agility, and deadly precision. Ryu effortlessly mirrored her movements, using the same flower breathing technique, but with a level of mastery that surpassed her own. Despite his overwhelming strength and skill, he held back just enough to push Kane to her limits. Kane felt as though she was battling a superior version of herself. Yet, as she watched Ryu's movements and his breathing pattern, she began to absorb the knowledge. With each sword clash, her own swordsmanship visibly improved by eliminating useless actions, the growth obvious even to the naked eye. Ryu's using an enhanced version of flower breathing, created from the knowledge of Hinokami Kagura that he had copied from Tanjiro. It was refined and tailored to perfectly suit Kane's physical limits. "Shing! That's it," Ryu said, nodding in approval as he parried her next strike. A smile tugged at his lips as he added, as expected of my Kane, you are good. Kane blushed slightly at his words, but this time, she didn't refute it as she usually would. Perhaps it was because, deep down, without her knowing, Ryu had already found a place in her heart. After an hour of intense sparring, Kane and Ryu relaxed in the courtyard, sipping tea and enjoying a moment of calm. You are truly amazing, Kane remarked. I sometimes wonder if there's anything you can't do. Ryu chuckled softly. Yes, there is one thing I haven't managed to do yet. I haven't captured the heart of the girl I love. Is it? Kane blushed slightly at his words, brushing a strand of hair behind her ear. The simple gesture once again invoked some kind of feeling within Ryu as he couldn't help but gaze at her in a trance. Noticing his lingering stare, Kane reacted and said. It seems like I did it again. Ryu simply looked at her. Feeling his hot gaze and the change in the atmosphere, she expertly shifted the topic. If I practice according to your insights, I should be able to surpass my previous self within a month or two. I've already made progress with Tekai, I can now use it while moving, which minimizes the risk of injury from demons. It might be a bit clumsy, but it's useful. With your current strength and skill, even if you meet the upper moon, you can fight them without losing. Ryu nodded. At that moment, the door to the courtyard creaked open and Tanjiro emerged, having healed from his injuries. He's full of energy and ready to fight the demons. Oh! Tanjiro! Is your injury okay? Ryu asked, seeing his appearance. Tanjiro greeted them with a respectful bow. Yes, I'm fine. Kane-san. Ryu-san, I've been looking for you. What is it? Ryu asked, interested to hear his reason for seeking him. Tanjiro took a deep breath before speaking. I had a dream about a demon slayer wearing Hanafuda earrings and someone who looked very similar to me. I believe he's Yoriichi Tsujikuni, the one you mentioned. Hearing his words, Kane was surprised. It was unusual for someone to remember a dream so vividly, and from his explanation it felt more like a memory from the past. This revelation made her consider the possibility that Tanjiro might have inherited his ancestors' memories. But, is it really possible? It seems like Tanjiro boy is special. Ryu, however, remained calm and thoughtful. It seems you're starting to remember the legacy of sun breathing. From your description, it's indeed Yoriichi Tsujikuni, the creator of the original breathing techniques. The world is truly full of wonders. Even though I don't fully understand why you've dreamed of events from so long ago, it might be a good thing for you. Don't overthink it. Keep focusing on your training, strengthening yourself, and the truth will reveal itself with time. Yes. I understand. I'll start practicing Hinokami Kagura. With renewed motivation, Tanjiro left to gather his friends to train. He doesn't want to feel the same helplessness again he experienced during the Mugen train mission. Just being in the presence of the upper moon demon, they felt weak and unable to fight. He must improve his strength. No wonder Mugen Kibutsuji is sending his minions after him. There's something special about him, Kane remarked thoughtfully. Indeed, Ryu agreed and said, with the fall of an upper moon, there's a strong possibility that demon activity will increase. I've already informed Kaguya-sama. Be careful during this time, when you are on a mission. At that moment, Ryu's Kasugai Crow swooped down with an urgent message. A demon slayer team within his region was requesting Hashira support. It seems my free time is over, Ryu said, gazing at the distant sky. Then, with a teasing smile, he added, I don't know how I'll pass the days without looking at you. Before he could tease more, a soft touch brushed his cheek. Kane had leaned in and kissed him. Ryu froze in surprise. He never imagined that a reserved girl like Kane would take such an initiative. Is it enough? It's my reward for killing an upper moon, Kane murmured, her face flushed as she averted her gaze. Ryu smirked, if I knew such a surprise awaited me, I would have killed upper moon one the last time we encountered. What kind of reward would I get for killing Mugen? Who knows? Kane replied and slipped away using her breathing technique as if fleeing from Ryu. Ryu didn't pursue her, a satisfied smile on his face as he gently touched his cheek where Kane had kissed him. The warmth of the moment lingered, and for now, that simple gesture was enough for him. With a final glance toward the direction Kane had disappeared, he decided to leave for the mission informed by his Kasugai Crow. In her room, Kane leaned against the door, her hand gently brushing her lips. Her heart raced as she replayed the moment in her mind. Oh my god! Why did I do that? She wondered in her mind, her fingers resting on her chest, feeling the rapid beat of her heart. She couldn't believe she took her own initiative to kiss Ryu. Chapter 54, Tree and Bat Demons. Before setting off, Ryu made a short visit to Kyojuro, who was awake and in good spirits despite his injuries. Kyojuro greeted him with his usual optimistic smile, "Ryu, I'll be back in action soon." With his voice full of confidence, Kyojuro continued, "Shinobu said I'll need about a month to recover fully, but I can start training again after just a few days of rest." Ryu smiled and nodded. "Take your time and recover well. The demon activity is rising, and the Hashira can't afford to be absent for too long. The core needs your strength." "I understand. Seems like the fall of an upper moon has made them uneasy," Kyojuro remarked. "Indeed." After exchanging a few more words, Ryu bid his friend farewell and then made his way to say goodbye to Shinobu, Aoi, and the others at the Butterfly Mansion before setting off. As the sky deepened with the hues of the evening, Ryu arrived at a traditional-style village that had recently been attacked by demons, guided by his Kasugai crow. A short distance away from the village, 5 demon slayers were already gathered, each looking ready to fight as the sun was beginning to set. The village was quiet, with an air of tension. Villagers had locked themselves inside their homes, fearful of what might come once the sun disappeared because of what they had seen yesterday. Seeing his arrival, the highest-ranking slayer among the 5 stepped forward, bowing respectfully. "Thank you for coming, Ryu-sama." Ryu nodded, his tone calm as he asked, "What's the situation?" While his perception swept over the entire village. The demon slayer responded, "2 powerful demons attacked yesterday. After receiving word, 2 slayers were sent to handle the demons, but they were killed. The core then dispatched the 5 of us. We confronted the demons briefly, but they're incredibly strong. One is a tree demon, the other a bat demon, and both of them can use blood demon arts. If it hadn't been for the sunrise forcing them to flee and hide, some of us might not have survived." Blood demon arts. Hearing this, Ryu's eyes narrowed. These demons were stronger than the usual ones, and the fact that they had teamed up to attack the village was problematic as the demons of equal strength wouldn't team up easily. "Yes," the demon slayer confirmed. "The tree demon can summon roots, which are tough to deal with. We can't cut them with our strength. The bat demon is even worse, it can generate powerful sound waves capable of destruction and can glide in the air." It was no coincidence that more powerful demons were making a move out of nowhere. His Kasugai crow told him such attacks were happening all over Japan. The death of Upper Moon Akaza must have made Mugen panic. Was this attack aimed at him specifically, or the entire Demon Slayer Corps? If it's the former, I'll need to be more vigilant. Ryu thought, his senses sharpening. Who knows what kind of threat might come next? Even with his immense strength, Ryu knew better than to think he was invincible. It's not harmful to remain on high alert for a few days, just in case. Turning back to the Demon Slayers, Ryu ordered them. "You guys stay here and protect the villagers. I'll take care of the demons." One of the Demon Slayers stepped forward, concern in his eyes. "But, Ryu-sama, it's dangerous. We can assist you. At least let 2 of us follow." "No," Ryu interrupted firmly. "I have a bad feeling about this one. I will handle it myself." His tone left no room for argument. Since the Hashira decided, they can't say anything. The Demon Slayers nodded reluctantly and went in the direction of the village. As the sky turned dark, Ryu ventured into the heart of the forest, where the demons disappeared according to the Demon Slayers. The thick canopy of trees casting long shadows was a perfect cover for the demons to hide from the sunday. He hadn't walked far, perhaps 10 minutes, before he felt the malicious presence of the demon. Suddenly, a piercing scream shattered the stillness of the night. The bat demon swooped down from the sky at a quick speed, its bat-like wings cutting through the air. The sound waves crashed into Ryu, making his ears ring from pain and hard to concentrate. The power of the attack made the ground tremble beneath his feet. The bat demon, Ryu thought, and drew his Nichiren sword before slashing his blade in a full 360-degree arc. Second form, current of the ocean. A powerful pressure similar to a water wave surged from his blade, rippling through the air like an ocean's current. The water formed a protective shield around him, absorbing the demon's sound waves and nullifying the effect. The crashing of water against sound created a brief lull, allowing Ryu to regain his focus. Touching the drop of blood from his ear, he spat in annoyance. Damn, what an irritating attack! Such a bothersome blood demon art! As strong as he was, failing to block such a simple blow made him look like a fool. The bat demon circled above, high in the sky, out of his attack range. TCH, it seems like I need to show some ability to deal with the demon. Ryu thought, planning his next attack against an airborne opponent. Just as Ryu prepared to deal with the bat demon, thick roots shot out from the ground like serpents, wrapping tightly around his arms and legs, immobilizing him. The roots coiled around his body, making it impossible for him to move. It finally made its move, the tree demon. Ryu thought. The demon's entrapment was hard, but considering Ryu's strength it's easy peasy for him to break free. But, he didn't. High above, the bat demon laughed. Ha ha ha, another one in our name. Seeing Ryu bound by the roots and struggling to break free, it swooped down from the sky, planning to kill him with a single strike. At that moment, the tree demon emerged from the ground a few meters away, resembling a typical demon except for the tree branch-like horns growing from its head. As the bat demon drew closer, Ryu's eyes turned glowing red with 3 Tomo Sharingan. The Tomo spun, locking onto the bat demon's gaze as Ryu cast an illusion. The world around the bat demon twisted and changed without its knowledge. In the demon's mind, Ryu's figure suddenly broke free and sprinted away. The bat demon abruptly changed direction mid-air, charging at the tree demon, thinking it was Ryu. With a furious roar, it bellowed, "Human, die!" A powerful scream erupted from its mouth, unleashing a destructive sound wave attack aimed at its demon ally. Damn! What are you doing? Stop it! The tree demon was taken aback by the sudden attack from its temporary ally. The sound wave shattered its eardrums, leaving it painful and confused. Before it could recover, the bat demon's sharp claws pierced through its left and right shoulders, pinning it to a nearby tree. Ryu, having effortlessly broken free from the tangled tree roots, walked toward the fighting demons with an unhurried pace. As he neared them, his sword flashed, slicing through both of their necks. Their heads flew into the air before their forms disintegrated into dust. +4 demon points. Till the final moments of their life, they couldn't understand why or how they had met their end. Chapter 55, What Just Happened? As Ryu finished off the demons, his perception suddenly picked up a human presence approaching from behind. When he turned around, he saw the highest-ranking demon slayer from the group of 5 running towards him. The young slayer was around 19 years old and had a muscular build, his black hair trimmed into a buzz-cut. He had introduced himself earlier as Kazuki. Now, he was rushing towards Ryu in a disheveled state, shouting, "Ryu-sama!" Ryu squinted, activating his transparent world to assess Kazuki's condition. Aside from some superficial injuries, there's nothing major that would threaten his life. What happened? Ryu asked calmly as Kazuki reached him, gasping for breath. He handed him a small gourd of water stored at his waist. Kazuki drank some water and spoke in a shaky voice, "We were attacked by a powerful wolf-like demon. It's unlike anything we've encountered before." Even before Kazuki's explanation, Ryu activated his nature mode while his perception extended across several kilometers. He discovered the corpse of one of the demon slayers, but what caught him off guard was a massive, werewolf-like figure chasing 2 other slayers, both heading in his direction. Within seconds, the 2 demon slayers appeared within his line of sight and shouted in desperation as they sprinted toward him. "Ryu-sama, save us! Stay here!" Ryu said to Kazuki, moving in a flash to the side of the 2 demon slayers. With lightning speed, he intercepted the werewolf's incoming claw strike with his Nichiren blade and delivered a powerful kick to the creature's stomach. Bang! The force of the kick sent the werewolf-like beast flying, crashing through several trees before skidding to a halt, a considerable distance away. Ryu already felt something wrong as this creature didn't emit any demonic presence. A werewolf? Does this world even have those? And it seems pretty weak. His expression turned weird. Before he could fully process what was happening around him, one of the demon slayers he had just saved suddenly attacked him from behind with a sword. The strike was too fast. Ryu barely dodged the slash aimed at his neck by a hair's breadth with his inhuman strength and reaction. If not for his nature mode being active, he would have either been gravely injured or killed by the strike. Cold sweat trickled down his forehead as the hairs on his body stood on end. His heartbeat raced at the near feeling of death, and it was abnormally loud. Not even the strongest demons like Upper Moon One gave him such a near-death feeling, yet such sensations were shown by fellow humans. Without giving him any chance to react, the second demon slayer flashed in front of him, as if he had teleported. With a ferocious expression, he thrust his sword at his heart, shouting, "Die, anomaly!" Ryu couldn't react to the speed of the attack even with his strength, as it was unlike anything he had encountered before, far surpassing even Kokushibo, the Upper Moon one. It's like a supernatural ability. Though Ryu was stunned for a moment by the series of attacks and what was happening around him, he finally reacted with a simple thought. Tekai. Swish. The sword penetrated Ryu's skin but failed to pierce through his hardened muscle. The second demon slayer, stunned by his failed attack, thought, "Damn, what is his body made of? Steel." Ryu's eyes turned cold as he finally had a moment to catch his breath. An overwhelming aura erupted from him, filling the air with such intense pressure that the two demon slayers instinctively took several steps back, their faces pale with fear. It was as though they were staring directly into the eyes of death itself. Bang! At the same moment, Ryu tilted his head to the left, dodging a bullet fired by Kazuki, the demon slayer with the highest rank that he interacted with moments ago. When Ryu looked over, Kazuki was holding a modern gun, a Tommy gun, if Ryu wasn't mistaken, and looked nothing like the injured and fearful demon slayer from before. His calm eyes locked onto Ryu as he squeezed the trigger. The steady DUT, DUT, DUT of the automatic gun echoed through the forest, sending a barrage of bullets straight at Ryu. With a firm grip on his blade, Ryu slashed through the air, creating a powerful wind pressure wave that deflected the incoming bullets. Ryu's figure blurred as he flashed to the side, evading the bullets. Retreat! The Slayer Kazuki's voice rang out loud. In the next moment, something small was tossed into the air, a stun grenade. It detonated mid-air with a deafening bang, releasing a blinding flash that momentarily disrupted Ryu's senses. Just a second later, Ryu regained his vision, but there was no one left in the vicinity. It was as if everything had been an illusion. Yet the bullet casings scattered across the ground, the remnants of the stun grenade, and the damage to the surroundings proved it had all been real. Dash! What just happened? His head trying to process what had unfolded here. Ryu's mind filled with questions as he looked up at the bright moon, sitting cross-legged in the forest clearing where he had just been assassinated. Who are those guys? Werewolves, guns, grenades, superhuman strength and extraordinary sword techniques that are completely different from breathing techniques. Aside from that, why the fuck did they try to assassinate me? Ryu muttered to himself. His mind struggled to make sense of the bizarre encounter with all the details. What does anomaly mean? Instead of trying to answer the question on his own, Ryu focused his mind, and the system panel materialized within his thoughts. System, please tell me what's happening. He asked. The system responded immediately as if it was waiting for his question. As you guessed, the four come from Earth. When your soul transmigrated to this world with the system's assistance, Earth underwent a significant transformation. The will of Earth has awakened in response to external threats. In order to protect itself and fight the external threat, it had no choice but to improve the strength of the humans. With its power, it turned the fictional worlds into reality. Author's note: I'm writing this after the recent poll and a change in decision. I know some of you may not like this concept, or it may feel a bit abrupt. Starting from the Naruto world, concepts like this won't be included. I'm re-editing the Demon Slayer world. If this version isn't to your liking, you can revisit it after a few days or start reading from the Naruto World arc, which begins in Chapter 76. Thanks for your understanding. Chapter 56, Anomaly. Ryu, I have left my note at the end. Are you the will of Earth? Ryu asked the system, planning to clear his suspicion. No. I am far beyond the will of such a low-level world, the system replied in its usual monotone, but Ryu could sense a hint of pride in its response. Does that mean humans can come into this world in batches? Ryu asked, worried about the possibility. He knew the kind of chaos and destruction that would follow if humans flooded this world. No, the system answered calmly. Only 4 humans can enter a level 1 world like Demon Slayer world at any given time. I have imprinted all relevant information into your mind. Immediately, a surge of knowledge flooded Ryu's consciousness. He took a moment to sort through the information, piecing together the larger picture. About 5 months ago, everything on Earth had changed. Animals, plants, and humans began undergoing rapid evolution. Strangely, animals seemed to be influenced by some otherworldly force, viewing humans as enemies, with the exception of pets and some inherently good-natured animals. At the same time, humans awakened something akin to a game-like character panel, which allowed them to track their growth. They also discovered a crystal known as source crystals, brought about by the world's evolution. These source crystals enabled humans to travel to alternate worlds, fictional realms born from anime, movies, series, games, and novels. These worlds are referred to as the imaginary world, phantom world, or original world. By completing missions issued by the world system in their mind within these worlds, they could receive various rewards. Humans could clear the world by completing the primary mission or objective of the world. Once a world was cleared, the people who cleared the world became the owners and had the ability to create copies of it, similar to a game environment, where others could enter and play without affecting the original world. However, the rewards in these copies were significantly diminished compared to those earned in the original world. This means that humans who acquire a source crystal have a high chance of becoming incredibly powerful due to their prior knowledge of the fictional worlds. The rewards from these missions are generous, but so are the dangers, as death in the original world results in permanent death unlike the safer copy world. Furthermore, once a person clears the original world and becomes its owner, they may be targeted by powerful humans on Earth if they lack strong backing or protection. What really caught Ryu's attention was the human power level system. After clearing a level 1 original world or even a copy world, the rewards received vary based on performance, and those who achieve something exceptional may gain special abilities. If they do, they ascend to the rank of a 1-star bronze human, which signifies the point where a person has finally stepped into the realm of superhuman strength. But reaching this level isn't easy. For example, all breathing techniques, aside from sun breathing, transparent world, selfless state, and some weak blood demon arts are classified as bronze level abilities. However, abilities like sun breathing and certain blood demon arts of upper moon demon surpass that, reaching the silver or gold level. The humans who had tried to assassinate him were all bronze humans, people who had obtained abilities from their experience in imaginary worlds. "I see," Ryu murmured. As for why they had called him an anomaly, the reason became clear. Earth's will had labeled him so because he didn't rely on the Earth's power to transmigrate into this world. In its eyes, Ryu was an invader, a being who had come from outside its domain without permission. "System, can't you do something about this anomaly label? You know I'm from Earth, right?" Ryu asked. "It's not a good feeling to be labeled as anomaly by the home world." "I can change it forcefully," the system responded, "but there's no need for that. Once you travel to another world, your trace of existence will be forgotten by the Earth's will. In the next world, I will hide your presence entirely." Ryu sighed. "So, I'm stuck with this anomaly status until I leave this world. Now, how should I deal with those guys? Their primary target seems to be me, and they know the plot of this world." The system responded, "You don't have to worry about them. They are bound by the original world rule. They cannot share information about the real world or their knowledge of the plot with the inhabitants of this world. If they attempt to do so, they will be forcibly expelled from the world." Ryu nodded, "That's what put me at ease. If not for that, things may get messy." He wasn't too worried about those guys, they were weak. If not for the sudden attack and the element of surprise, they wouldn't have gotten so close to him. Meanwhile, in a dimly lit traditional wooden house far away, 4 human figures emerged as if by magic. Their expressions were grim and filled with irritation, the failure of their assassination attempt evident on their faces. "Ah! We wasted a precious teleportation scroll. We prepared for this attack hundreds of times. Fuck! How the hell did we miss it?" The human who could transform into a werewolf punched the wall in annoyance, the wooden wall shattering under his punch. The human, who had struck at Ryu first, crossed his arms and grumbled, "Facing him was completely different from what we rehearsed and simulated in our minds. Our information on him is limited, but he's ridiculously strong." The one with a super speed similar to teleportation nodded, "He's like a steel beast. My sword couldn't even pierce his muscle." "It's like Tekai." "No, it is Tekai," Kazuki, the leader of the 4 muttered, his eyes narrowing as he suddenly found a resemblance to Ryu's hard skin. Everyone's eyes lit up in realization. "Tekai? No wonder, it all makes sense now. But how is it possible?" One of them voiced in disbelief. "Don't forget, he's an anomaly," Kazuki reminded them, his voice cold. At the mention of anomaly, the atmosphere changed. If an anomaly gains control of the Demon Slayer world, the consequences could be catastrophic, one of them said, his voice filled with worry. A vivid vision of a particular incident related to an anomaly flashed through their minds, disturbing their heart. Suddenly, a notification echoed in their minds at the same time. "Kill anomaly Ryu," Reward, sun breathing and superhuman physique. Author. Hi guys. I'm feeling a bit confused right now. It seems many of you aren't fond of the Earth-human concept, which I didn't expect. I've planned out a lot with a clear plot, but the negative feedback has me unsure of how to proceed. To address this, I'm running a poll on my Patreon page. Please help me with this by giving your honest thoughts. Since our MC will soon travel to the Naruto World, I'd like your opinion on how I should proceed. On Patreon, the Demon Slayer World arc is almost complete, with just one chapter remaining. Based on the poll and feedback, I'll adjust the storyline accordingly. Thank you for your support. Chapter 57, Arrival. The moment the 4 Earth humans saw the reward, their eyes flashed with greed. Sun breathing, the pinnacle of power in the Demon Slayer world, combined with a superhuman physique that can push the human body to its extreme limits, it was everything they had ever dreamed of. Their breaths quickened. If they got the reward, there was a real possibility they could ascend directly to the Silver Master level, a leap that would bring them unimaginable strength. It would change everything. Just as their ambition peaked, Kazuki's voice cut through their fantasy. It's time for us to quit. His words hit them like a bucket of cold water, shocking them. What? Quit? The others stared at him in disbelief. What do you mean, quit? One of them questioned him directly. Kazuki closed his system panel and sighed. Don't get blinded by the reward. We aren't strong enough to kill Ryu, a man who could defeat Upper Moon 3 Akaza. We had one shot, tried to assassinate him when he least expected it, and still failed. If we try again, we'll lose our lives. Don't forget, this is the original world. If we die here, we are gone for real. There are no second chances. His gaze swept across the 3. Of course, this is just my opinion. If any of you want to stay and try again, feel free. But I'm done. One of them clenched his fists and said. We've got the best chance to change our lives, and I'm not ready to give up. So what if he's strong? I've sacrificed too much to come here, to enter the original world. Kazuki shook his head. He's not just strong, he's an anomaly. That makes him dangerous and unpredictable. I don't even know the full extent of his strength or what kind of abilities he's hiding. It's not worth the risk. It's best we sell our source crystals and trade the information we have for a better opportunity, Kazuki suggested. Who knows? We might be able to negotiate for a source crystal linked to an even better original world. A heavy silence fell over the group as his words made sense. The greed that had filled their eyes slowly flickered, replaced by reluctant understanding. I agree, one of them finally said, exhaling. I already got thunder breathing as a reward for killing a special demon earlier. Since I've only practiced thunder breathing, there's a 90% chance I'll be rewarded with thunder breathing once I leave the original world. My strength is just short of a Hashira's level in thunder breathing, it's more than enough to rank my ability at 10-star bronze. Hearing his words, the others nodded in agreement. They had all carefully planned their course of action before coming into this world, each learning a breathing style that suited them after arriving. Their primary mission had been to eliminate Upper Moon 1, Kokushibo, but recently, it changed to a far more dangerous target, Ryu, the anomaly they noticed when they first arrived. The reward for this mission had increased dramatically. Before the assassination attempt, the reward was already tempting, the breathing technique that they practiced would be maxed upon completion. But after the failure, the reward skyrocketed, a clear indication of how powerful Ryu was and how much of a threat the world system considered him to be. Let's leave now, Kazuki said. With only a few months left until the plot reaches its end, the sooner we get to the Federation, the richer our rewards will be. With a nod, the 4 of them summoned their character panels and touched the force exit button. The next second, the 4 of them disappeared from the world of Demon Slayer. Back in the woods where Ryu fought. After a few minutes, Kakushi arrived at the scene and carried the body of the fallen Demon Slayer for the proper funeral. As for the assassination, Ryu chose not to reveal anything. Thankfully, no one knows what happened here, as even his Kasugai Crow wasn't present at the scene. There was no point in revealing the incident to the Demon Slayer Corps, as Ryu couldn't explain the situation without diving into the complexities that are beyond their understanding. Unlike the others, Ryu wasn't bound by any rules that prevented him from revealing the truth about the plot. Yet, he saw no reason to complicate matters further. Since they were from Earth and their target was him, it was a problem he'd have to handle on his own. After that, Ryu's life returned to his usual routine, but he knew this was far from over. Those four would surely come for him again when they saw an opportunity, since he's their mission target. Nearly 2 months had passed. Ryu received a letter from Kane that Tanjiro, along with his friends and the Sound Hashira, Tenjin Uzui, had gone to the entertainment district. After the events of the Mugen train, Kaguya Yubayashiki became convinced that Tanjiro was special. So he had requested that Ryu remain within the region to provide backup in case anything went wrong. So they've already gone to the entertainment district, where Upper Moon 6 resides. The letter must have been delayed by at least a day due to the distance. If I set off now, it will take time to reach them. Let's hope they haven't provoked the Upper Moon yet. Ryu mused and uttered, "It's time to head to Yoshiwara, Tokyo." At the same time, 4 human figures materialized in the exact spot where the previous 4 Earth humans had disappeared. These 4 newcomers exuded an aura as intense as the strongest Hashira like stone Hashira Gyume. One of them inhaled deeply, grinning. "The air here is so fresh." The tall one with a sharp, commanding presence, who seemed to lead the group, spoke up. "We don't have much time." According to the last group's report, the timeline should be around the entertainment district arc. Since this is a level 1 anime world, time flows 10 times faster. 1 day on Earth equals 10 days here. Author: "Hey guys, thanks to the people who voted. I see that most of you weren't fond of the Earth concept, and I understand. But, I finished the Demon Slayer arc on Patreon, so I can't change it now. From Naruto arc, we'll stick to the normal flow without any Earth elements for now. To those who voted, I like it. I'm glad you enjoyed the idea, but I've decided to set it aside for the moment. After we finish the Naruto and One Piece world, let's see if we can do something similar again, like Ryu traveling back to Earth. Thanks for the support." Chapter 58, Plan. "What's our plan?" the only girl in the group asked, her appearance strikingly reminiscent of a traditional Japanese beauty, dressed in a black kimono with a flower design. Not just her, all of them, despite their origins, blended perfectly into the Demon Slayer world, their appearances distinctly Japanese, and their outfits perfectly matching the local style. It was as if they had always been part of this world, with no trace of their original selves. Once a human on Earth uses the source crystal of a specific imaginary world, their physical body vanishes from Earth, and they are transported to a dark space. There, they are given the opportunity to choose some things. In a level 1 world, they are restricted to entering with only one ability, regardless of how many they possess. Before arriving, they must choose which ability to bring if they have more than one, or they can choose to enter without selecting any ability at all. After that, they would be transported to the moment the world timeline begins. For instance, the 4 humans who had attacked Ryu were sent here the same day Tanjiro's family was killed by Mugen, marking the start of the world's timeline. Of course, Ryu isn't bound by any of these rules. His system is special and doesn't follow the same rules as the Earth system. Moon Shadow. Ciro's Or, the leader of the group, addressed the only girl in their team, acknowledging her strength. Ciro stood at 6 feet tall, with sharp Japanese-like features, and bore a calm demeanor. According to his information, the woman Moon Shadow is one of the first few to enter the original world when Earth transformed and gained a unique ability called Moon Shadow in a game world, which she had evolved to the silver level. She's feared by many for her first ability, which allows her to become invisible for a period of time, and she's unpredictable because no one ever truly knows what she's thinking. On top of this, she had acquired a second powerful ability from another original world, making her even more formidable. Ciro's began, "We all come from different factions within the Federation, but our goal is the same, eliminate Anomaly Ryu, which is also our mission. Since it's a level 1 world, we were allowed to bring only one ability and one equipment with us. Let's start by sharing the abilities we chose and their ranks. Only by knowing that, I can plan our next move." He went first. "Mine is Force, at 2-star silver. It grants enhanced strength and speed, along with the ability to manipulate force barriers, telekinesis, and force blasts." Hearing this, the other two, aside from Moon Shadow, looked at him with awe. Ciro's Or is known for his fastest clearance of the movie-based original world of Star Wars universe. "Mine is Moon Shadow, 2-star silver. I can turn invisible for a period of time." Moon Shadow said simply, her expression indifferent and unreadable. The next one, Raiden, spoke up. "Thunder Fist, 1-star silver. Enhanced punching speed with a lightning element in hand. And mine is Fire Bending, 1-star silver. You all know fire bending, but I haven't reached the stage of lightning generation yet." The last one, Ignis, added. Siros nodded and his expression turned serious as he spoke. Next, let's discuss our mission target, Ryu. According to our information, he's extraordinarily strong, mastering a breathing style called nature breathing that isn't available in the original timeline. He single-handedly defeated Akaza. Furthermore, he mastered a skill similar to Tekai, and his perception is exceptionally sharp. Based on our data, I estimate his strength at 10-star Silver Master. Confronting him openly would give us less than a 30% chance of success. What's your plan, Siros? Ignis asked. My plan is to join the demon side. Once we get injected with Mugen Kibutsuji's blood, we'll transform into demons without a hitch due to our strong strength and awaken a powerful blood demon art. The research department analyzed that strong blood demon arts have a high chance of evolving to the gold level. While Sun Breathing's upper limit is also gold, it requires a strong physique, transparent world, selfless state, and demon slayer mark to unleash its full potential. Hearing this, none of them showed any dislike for becoming demons. To them, this world is just another world to gain experience and abilities. And, they don't have to worry about becoming demons in the real world. Because once they leave the world, they will only inherit the ability rewarded by the world system at the end. Their primary concern is the anomaly Ryu. They won't hesitate to kill countless beings to achieve their goals. As for the implications, they don't care about it. Siros continued, let's wait until the plot reaches Swordsmith Village arc until Mugen discovers that Nezuko has conquered the sun. At that point, Mugen's army will be weakened with 4 of the upper moons already dead. In the original timeline, he turned an entire city into demons to prepare for the battle with the Demon Slayer Corps. We'll use this opportunity. With the cleansing potion we prepared earlier, we can rid ourselves of Mugen's control and don't have to worry about being killed by him. The room fell silent with Siros's plan as turning into a demon carried significant risks. After a moment, Moon Shadow spoke up, her voice undisturbed. Good. The other two, Raiden and Ignis, nodded in agreement. Alright, let's start with confirming our information about Ryu. Entertainment District. As Ryu neared Yoshiwara, the sounds of battle reached him from a kilometer away. Using his nature perception, he observed the battle in detail. Tenjin was engaged in a fierce fight with Gyataro using some flashy moves, while Tanjiro, Zenitsu, and Inosuke were battling Daki. Thankfully, I arrived on time. Chapter 59, Upper Moon 6. Blood Demon Art, rotating circular slashes, flying blood sickles. Circular waves of sharp, solidified blood surged from Upper Moon 6 Gyataro's body, spinning around his sickles in deadly arcs, making it nearly impossible for Tenjin and Tanjiro to approach him. Bang! Boom! Tenjin countered with sound breathing, fourth form, constant resounding slashes, rapidly spiraling his dual blades and dispersing the blood sickles in a storm of violent slashes. Explosive bombs added to the chaos, the explosion and collision of metals matched the grandeur of the Sound Hashira's fighting style. However, in the midst of the fierce clash, Tenjin failed to notice that Gyataro had slipped away, leaving behind a barrage of blood blades to bombard him. As Tenjin halted his attack, realizing Gyataro's disappearance, he heard one of his wives call out to watch his back. He barely had time to react before Daki's obi sashes launched a surprise attack, lashing at him from all directions. At that exact moment, Gyataro appeared before Hinetsuru, wrapping his hand around her mouth. Hinetsuru! Tenjin roared in anger as he rushed to save her, only for Daki's obi to block his path, encircling him. Before Gyataro could harm her, a quick slash severed his hand, followed by a powerful kick that sent him crashing into a nearby building. Ryu stood casually atop the roof beside the girl he saved, biting into a fresh green apple, savoring the taste while his other hand held his Nichiren blade. Yo, flashy man, Ryu taunted, struggling to fight a mere upper rank 6? Compared to you, I'd say Kyojuro was better. You've got flashy names in your breathing style, but not the strength to match. Veins throbbed on Tenjin's forehead, hearing Ryu's words. He said, gritting his teeth. Though I hate seeing you here, you've got my gratitude for saving my girl. From the wreckage of a nearby building, Gyataro emerged, his eyes locking onto Ryu standing on the roof. Isn't he the one Mugen-sama wants dead? A wave of murderous intent radiated from Gyataro as he recognized Ryu. Tightening his grip around the pair of kama, crafted from his own flesh and blood, Gyataro's eyes narrowed with deadly intent. Without a moment's hesitation, he lunged at Ryu, sending a barrage of sickle-shaped blood blades slicing through the air. The crimson arcs spun like a hurricane of death, converging on Ryu from all directions with terrifying speed. Unfazed, Ryu took another bite of the apple as his Nichiren sword whirled freely in his hand, moving as though it were an extension of his arm. The sword became a blur, too fast for the naked eye to see. With swift slashes of his blade, the storm of sickle-shaped blood blades disintegrated into nothingness, unable to recover. Before Gyataro could close the distance, Ryu took the initiative as his figure blurred past the demon in a flash. A heartbeat later, Gyataro's body was sliced into countless fragments, each cut executed with clinical precision. For a moment, time seemed to freeze as his severed body parts hovered in the air before falling to the street in a grotesque display. Yet, the demon wasn't killed. It was expected. Ryu calmly flicked the remaining blood off his blade before sliding it into its scabbard. He looked at Gyataro with an indifferent expression as the demon struggled to regenerate back to his perfect form. How can he be this strong? Is he really a human? For the first time since becoming a demon, Gyataro felt panic and fear surge through him, overwhelmed by the difference in strength. No wonder Akaza fell to him. I don't stand a chance. I need to inform Mugen-sama. There was no need because Mugen had been watching the fight through the demon blood connection ever since Ryu appeared, his gaze cold seeing Ryu effortlessly deal with Gyataro. On the side, Tenjin stared at Ryu, equally shocked. He had always known Ryu was powerful, but this was beyond human limits. Are we even fighting the same demon, he wondered, seeing how easily Ryu dissected Gyataro, an upper moon as if he were merely a lower moon. The difference in their abilities felt like the difference between an upper moon and a lower moon. Tenjin chuckled at the thought, recalling how he had dealt with Daki earlier. He sliced the demon's head before it could even notice. It was almost identical, but the difference was clear. Daki's strength was at the level of a strong lower moon, while Gyataro was an upper moon. I need to reattach my neck. If they decapitate my sister while I'm down, we're finished. We'll die for real. Gyataro thought in desperation as he struggled to overcome the power of nature that hindered his regeneration speed. He could feel the effects starting to weaken, and in just a second or two, he would be back at his peak condition. Till that. In a final desperate move, Gyataro mobilized his sickle-shaped blood blades, forming them with his own blood. With a furious roar, he unleashed the deadly blades in all directions, not just targeting Ryu but also Tenjin, Tanjiro, Zenitsu, and Inosuke. He's smart enough to know that attacking Ryu directly was useless. His only chance was to exploit the human weakness by aiming at the others, hoping to slow Ryu down. But such low-level attacks were meaningless against Ryu. In a breeze, his sword shattered the blood sickles into harmless droplets of blood that evaporated in the air. Then, Ryu's blade sliced through Gyataro's neck once more with his nature breathing, forcing the demon to struggle yet again to regenerate his body. Kicking the demon's head to Tenjin, Ryu's gaze shifted toward the ongoing battle between Tanjiro, Zenitsu, Inosuke, and Daki. Tanjiro, Zenitsu, Inosuke, Ryu called out casually, finish that demon as soon as possible. If you don't kill her before he regenerates, I won't help you anymore. Then you guys have to deal with both the demons on your own. Hearing Ryu's words, Tanjiro, Zenitsu, and Inosuke's expressions turned serious as they immediately unleashed their strongest breathing form, planning to chop her head off in a single move. Zenitsu, with lightning-fast speed, slashed through Daki's obi sashes, while Inosuke charged in recklessly, his twin blades tearing through her body, forcing her to retreat. Tanjiro's Nichiren blade glowed as he combined Hinokami Kagura with his water breathing, dashing forward with blinding speed. Swish! Daki barely had time to react before her head was severed cleanly from her body. The combined strength of the three demon slayers overwhelmed her, leaving her no room to react or defend. Her disembodied head fell to the ground with a look of shock still etched on her face. No. It can't be. How, Unai-chan, save me. I don't want to die. Daki's thoughts echoed in despair and sorrow. Chapter 60, Wait. Watching the scene unfold, Mugen Kibutsuji severed his connection with Daki and Gyataro. He had seen enough of their tragic defeat. It was clear their end was inevitable, and their defeat came as no surprise. Mugen made no attempt to save them. Demons like Gyataro were rare, but replaceable. With time, they could be cultivated again. His crimson demonic eyes narrowed as he recalled Ryu's every move. He mused, that human named Ryu, he's stronger than all the demon slayers, except for that man, Yoriichi. But not by much. True, his strength is stronger than humans who awaken their demon slayer marks, and his breathing style is indeed formidable. Yet, despite Ryu's power, Mugen felt no concern. He even began to feel that his previous concerns were unfounded. Despite Ryu's strength, Mugen remained confident in his own power, convinced that no human could truly threaten him. He may be as strong as Upper Moon 1, but in the end, he's still a human. Mugen's expression filled with disdain. If I were there, I could crush his head in 1 or 2 moves. No matter how special he seems, he's just another mortal struggling to live past 80. He dismissed the threat Ryu posed. That human will perish with time, just like all the others. Mugen's thoughts shifted to his ultimate goal. My priority should be finding the blue spider lily, or creating a demon that can survive the sunlight. His desire to walk under the sun, free from his only true weakness, consumed him. Back in the entertainment district. Beneath Tenjin's foot, the Upper Moon 6, Gyatero's severed head let out a furious roar. No! His voice was filled with anger, sorrow, and despair. With his sister's head severed, and his own head already chopped off by Ryu, their end was inevitable. It's just that he couldn't accept it. He could feel his life slipping away with every breath, as he looked at his sister's decapitated head, still weeping and cursing him for not being strong enough to protect her. Tanjiro, with kindness in his eyes, knelt before them. Be good to each other. Your brother and sister. Nothing can forgive the things you've done, but you still have each other. You damn brat, don't lecture me. Get out of here. Daki cried with tears, as the 2 demons slowly began to disintegrate into ashes, their forms fading away little by little. Within seconds, their bodies finally disintegrated into ashes, carried away by the wind. They are dead. The battle was over. The entertainment district, once filled with vibrance, now lay in ruins, shattered buildings, torn streets, and the lingering scent of blood. But the demons who had brought destruction and terror to this district for centuries were no more. Plus 10 demon points. The system rewarded Ryu the full points for defeating an Upper Moon demon. Tenjin's 3 wives rushed into his arms, their voices trembling with relief and joy. Thank goodness, Tenjin-sama. You're okay. Tears flowed freely as they clung to him, happy at surviving the battle against the Upper Moon demon. Gahahaha. I'm pretty awesome. We killed an Upper Moon demon. Inosuke bellowed, puffing out his chest with pride. Zenitsu, still half asleep, mumbled incoherently. Comforting the demon siblings in their final moments, Tanjiro secretly collected a sample of Gyatero's blood. No one noticed his actions, except for Ryu, while the others were lost in celebration. Tenjin, wrapping his arms around his wives, laughed heartily. Anyway, our job here is done. Another Upper Moon is dead. It's a flashy battle. I wonder how the demons will react after knowing another Upper Moon has fallen. At that moment, Ryu's taunting voice sliced through the joyful atmosphere. Go on and enjoy your life with your little wives. I've got no issue with that. But I have to ask, who gave you the courage to come and provoke an Upper Moon demon? You knew a powerful demon was lurking in the entertainment district and you came with 3 newbies. With your strength, you wouldn't last more than a few moves. Upper Moon 6 killed more than 12 confirmed Hashira before you. Do you really think you're stronger than those fallen people? If you don't care about your life, fine, but don't drag rookies and ordinary people into fights they're not prepared for. Tenjin's expression changed as a smile disappeared from his face, and Ryu's words struck a nerve. The vein on his forehead pulsed visibly. Even without you, I would have killed that demon. Just a little more effort. Tisk. Ryu scoffed. You know the truth. Without me, there's a high chance you'd all be dead. Don't try to deny it. Hearing Ryu scolding Tenjin, his wives stepped in, their voices soft yet resolute. Please, don't scold Tenjin-sama. We went with him willingly. It's our duty to share his burden and protect him, just as he protects us. Whatever. Ryu shook his head. Minutes later, the Kakushi arrived at the scene to handle the aftermath of the battle. Just like when Akaza fell, the news of Upper Moon 6's defeat spread rapidly through the Demon Slayer Corps, reaching every Hashira. Walking a few steps, Ryu gazed up at the moon, lost in thoughts. The next major event should be the demons attacking the Swordsmith village, but with Tanjiro uninjured and his Nichiren sword intact, who knows if the timeline will follow the original plot. I'll just have to wait and see. As for the Swordsmith village, there's nothing I can do. I don't even know its location, and I can't simply go and say there's danger without proof. Yubayashiki might believe me, but I can't say it outright. Ryu sighed, his mind shifting to another concern. Furthermore, the Earth humans haven't made any moves since the last encounter. I thought they would at least come to observe the battle, but there's no sign of their presence. They might be exceptionally good at hiding, even evading my nature perception, or they simply didn't come. Fangs in the dark are always the deadliest. Though he wants to find them, trying to track them down is like searching for a needle in a haystack. There's nothing Ryu can do but wait.
Thanks for listening.